One early morning when the two Genins were quietly discussing what they were going to do when Jiraiya came to get Naruto to bring Tsunade back to the village, when two birds pecked at the window until Naruto lumbered up and let the birds in. The two birds then disappeared in a puff of smoke to show Akira and Akito Kazama. "Kakashi wants us to come train with Team 7 in 2 hours, we figured that you two would rather be present for it," Akito whispered, and the two Genins exchanged grins and the four of them made hand signs and their positions reversed. Now Naruto and Shikamaru were Akira and Akito once again, while the Bunchins took the Genins' places. "See you at 9. Akira nodded at Naruto before the two redheads hinged into birds again and flew off to the apartment. The Sandaime set the Kazama twins up, and once the cleanup of the village was complete. Once inside, the redheads dropped the henge and Akito walked into the kitchen, pulling his shoulder-length hair up into his ponytail before he started on some breakfast for the two of them. Akira sat on the hardwood flooring with his legs crossed, placing a basic katana across his lap. He had left Raijin with his Bunchin self for the training he had today. "What do you think we should work on with Team 7? Akira asked as he polished his katana lovingly. "Teamwork comes to mind," Akito retorted as he turned on the stove to heat up a frying pan. Other than the obvious." Akira rolled his eyes. "We show them real teamwork and point out the flaws in theirs. We should get Sakura working on her taijutsu. If she had a basic understanding, it would make Tsunade's job of teaching her a bit easier." Akito mused as he cracked open some eggs from the fridge and into the heated pan. "I can train Naruto in Kenjutsu so he can have a good excuse to wield Raijin so well in the future." Akira used air quotes when referring to himself. "What about Sasuke?" Akito asked, peering over his shoulder to see Akira screwing up his face. "Maybe Kakashi can get him started on some more advanced katanjutsus and work on his speed. I did notice that he was a bit slow when I saved them from the Otonin, but mainly we need to focus on his attitude, and thankfully we can tell him what we think of him, his goals and his skills, by pretending we had a friend just like him, and we can tell him what happened to this friend in the future." Akira slammed his open palm against the floor beside his thigh to give his point more impact. So there is nothing in those plans that will make you feel better afterwards, huh?" Akito teased as he scrambled the large pan of eggs. "No ulterior motive at all," Akira said innocently before he placed his polished and sharpened katana on the coffee table as he moved about the kitchen bringing out plates and reheating some sausages. The two ate in peace and were armed and ready at 9, surprised that Kakashi came on time when the silver-haired Jonin knocked on the front door. "I'll be damned," Akira huffed to himself as Akito opened the door to reveal the Jonin. "Yo!" He raised a hand in greeting. "Are you two ready?" "Yeah." The twins chorused and followed Kakashi out of the apartment complex they were living in. "Thank you for doing this, but you may be regretting it by the end of the day," Kakashi said, his ever-present orange book out already. "Why would we regret it?" Akira asked. The two redheads were subconsciously flanking the Copynin as they had done so many a times in the future. "My kawaii Genins. They are not exactly what you would call the ideal team. Like I said before, I think letting them see how teamwork actually works would be helpful." Kakashi scratched his eye as they came into view of the bridge where they could see Sasuke, Sakura, and Naruto already lounging there. Akira smiled a bit seeing that Naruto had Raijin attached to his back that would make things easier during their training. "Kakashi-sensei, you are actually on time," Sakura said in shock before she glanced at the two redheads beside him and her cheeks turned the color of her hair. Sasuke's eyes narrowed at the two newcomers, but interest was sparked within his onyx eyes. "Akira? You're one of the guest instructors Kakashi-sensei was talking about?" Naruto beamed at the twins. Akira smiled and placed his hand on Naruto's blonde hair once again. "That we are, Kit. Today we are going to help Kakashi here train you." Akira agreed, trying not to think too hard about how he was Naruto in disguise while the version of himself in front of him was a Bunshin, but it was still him. His head hurt just from thinking up this plan in the first place, much to Shikamaru/Akito's amusement. Akira and Akito Kazama meet Genin Team 7, Naruto Uzumaki, Sakura Haruno and Sasuke Uchiha. Kakashi waved his free hand at each genin as he said their names. Akira waved cheerfully while Akito nodded slightly, crossing his arms. "Is it true that you sliced off the snake Sanin's tongue?" Sakura asked in a small voice, looking at Akira. "It was creepy." Akira deadpanned and Akito snorted at the answer. "What makes you think we want you to train us?" Sasuke snapped. Akito heard Kakashi heave an almost silent sigh when the Uchiha spoke, and the redhead noticed his twin's eyebrow twitch, and then Akira became a red blur. Suddenly Sasuke's arm was twisted harshly up behind his back, and the dull side of Akira's katana was pressed tightly against the Uchiha's pale, exposed throat. "It's not about what you want, it's about what you need if you are to survive in this world," Akira hissed before he released the raven-haired genin, and the redhead went back to his spot flanking Kakashi. "We are here because we were asked to be, but we did not have to agree. We are going to help you all grow stronger in your own ways, and most of all you three will learn teamwork," Akito said in his ANBU commander tone of voice, smirking as Sakura and Naruto straightened their backs and met his gaze head-on. Sasuke was rubbing his wrist with a scowl etched on his face as he glared hatefully at Akira. "All right, go warm up and then we will hold spars," Akira ordered, with Kakashi nodding along. The three genins went off towards Training Ground 7 and started to warm up. "Was that too much?" Akira looked at Kakashi. No, Sasuke needed to be put in his place. Kakashi rubbed his neck. "You two aren't going to go easy on them, are you? Now where would the fun in that be?" Akira asked innocently before he grabbed Akito by his wrist, dragging him to the training ground to warm up as well. // "All right." Akira clapped his hands together, looking down at the three genins. "My brother and myself are going to spar first." He smiled when he heard a groan of complaint from Naruto at those words. "I want you each to pay close attention." Akito made strong eye contact with each genin before the twins walked a bit away from the gathered Team 7 and then a few feet away from each other. "Taijutsu and Kenjutsu only, okay, bro?" Akira called out, and Akito nodded. He knew what Akira was thinking. Their usual fighting style would be a dead giveaway, and they didn't want to use any elemental jutsus just yet. Also, Sasuke and Kakashi's Sharingan made them feel unnerved using any jutsus they created. "Begin!" Kakashi called out after the two redheads looked at him expectantly. The genins were expecting two blurs of red to appear where the twins had stood, but they were mistaken. Akira and Akito clearly had slowed down their moves so the genins could watch. Akira lashed out with a kick from his right foot, pivoting on his left. Akito blocked with his forearm before twisting his wrist, latching his fingers on Akira's ankle, and with his arm he pushed forward the heel of his hand, catching his twin with it in the chest while releasing Akira's ankle, and his brother skidded back thanks to the force. Akira grinned like the fox he was and launched forward, and the two exchanged blows, each harder and better executed than the last. The genins watched in awe as the two slowly became red blurs. Sasuke had his Sharingan on to keep up with their speed. "Let's take it up a notch, shall we, brother?" Akira tilted his head to the side as the two stood across from each other, neither looking bothered by the fight they just had. "So kind of you to ask. I was getting rather bored with our warm-up." Akito agreed, and as he pulled on his trench knives and while Akira pulled out his katana. "That was a warm-up?" Sakura whispered in awe while Naruto bounced on his heels, his eyes trained on the two redheads. With nothing but a smirk, the two launched at each other. The blurs paused mid-air to show that Akito was bearing down on Akira from above with his trench knives pushing down on the katana. The twins' faces was taut with concentration, but their eyes were alit with excitement. The two moved once again, and the next time they could be spotted at normal speed their positions were reversed. Akira had his katana blade inches away from his twin's neck, but not touching the skin, as Akito had maneuvered the long ends of his trench knives between the blade and his throat. The two disappeared in blurs of red before they stopped, and a small dust cloud flew out from around their feet. Akira had his katana pressed to Akito's jugular while Akito had both his knives pressed to either side of Akira's neck. The two locked eyes before without a sound the two jumped back and bowed to the other. "Good spar, bro." Akira grinned as he placed his katana back on his waist. It was a good workout actually. Akito agreed as he reattached his trench knives to his belt. That was rather impressive handling of your weapons, Kakashi said as Team 7 approached the two redheads. I would very much like to see Akito take on Asuma with his trench knives, and I'm sure Hey-8 would like to duel you, Akira. That would be the day. Akira muttered to himself. Akito elbowed him. One thing at a time, Kakashi. Akito smiled. Right now we are going to train your students. So, what did you three learn from our fight? You're really fast. Naruto deadpanned. Well, that is true. Akito laughed while Akira beamed at the blonde. Sakura? Well, Akito, you seem to make sure your right shoulder and left hip were guarded well, while Akira seemed to make sure no blows hit just above his heart. You both seemed to know this and made sure to avoid hitting those areas if at all possible, Sakura observed. Brilliant, Sakura. Akira clapped his hands together with a grin as she flushed and smiled happily back at him. You are right, those places are tender for us as they house scars and pain from near fatal wounds. If you have a weakness like this, you need to adjust your fighting around it so the enemy cannot take advantage of it. Akira lectured, feeling like Irika-sensei. What happened? Sakura whispered softly. Akira and Akito exchanged looks before Akira slowly nodded his head. I had a friend once. He betrayed many others and myself, and when I tried to stop him, we fought. He used an attack his sensei taught him and pierced me just above my heart. Any lower and I would have been dead. It is still to this day a sore spot for me. Akira told his tale sadly, working off his cloak and shirt to show the Genins the scar his Sasuke had gifted him with. He made sure to hide his ANBU tattoo and the seal. That's horrible. Sakura gasped, covering her mouth. How could your friend do that to you? Naruto asked outraged. Even Kakashi's visible eye was filled with anger. What do you think of it, Sasuke? Akito asked the Uchiha sternly. The raven-haired Genin had his eyes trained on the scar with wide eyes. Why did your friend leave? Sasuke asked the redhead who was pulling his shirt and cloak back on. He wanted more power to avenge his fallen family and to kill the one who slaughtered them, Akira stated, staring down the Uchiha who shifted under the gaze. What happened to him? Sasuke asked, swallowing hard. There was a fight. He killed the one who he went to for power and managed to finally kill the one who killed his family, but in the end he fell into madness and became worse than the man he killed himself. In the end, I was forced to kill him. People think they need power to achieve their goals, but in the end it will only bring their own demise, Akira said emotionlessly. A deafening silence followed those words. I hope that none of you will follow down that path. Akira cleared his throat, looking at each of them, letting his eyes linger on Sasuke longer than the others. Well, my story isn't as dramatic and heart-wrenching as my brother's. Akito spoke up, bringing the attention onto him to take the looks away from his brother who he knew needed the break. It happened during a battle. My best friend died protecting a fallen ally's body and the enemy used a jutsu that allowed him to use corpses like puppets, and I had to fight off my best friend's dead body, leaving me with a scar from my right shoulder down to my left hip. Akito, unlike Akira, didn't remove his clothes, knowing that if he did there was no way he could hide his ANBU tattoo and other scars. That awful. Sakura covered her mouth, her eyes glassy. Naruto had his head down and fists clenched. Kakashi had his visible eye closed tightly and Sasuke wouldn't meet anyone's eyes. Enough of our sob stories. Now time for some training. We want you three to take turns sparring with each other and then we will go from there. Akira clapped his hands loudly to refocus the attention. Only weapons and taijutsus. The redhead twins stood with Kakashi while Sakura and Naruto stepped up first and started to spar their best without using ninjutsus. When did they happen? Kakashi asked, quietly eyeing the twins out of the corner of his eye while making it look like he was focused on his genins. Mine happened when I was 13. Akira said honestly. 16 Akito said shortly as he leaned against a nearby tree. He could see the start of Sakura's power. It was hidden, but it was there. He had been in the village to see her transformation and he knew what to look for. However, the sooner Tsunade got to the village, the better. 13. Only a year older than my kawaii genins. Kakashi muttered mainly to himself. Good fight, you two. Akito pushed off his tree, walking towards the two genins. Naruto had taken Sakura down and the pink-haired girl looked annoyed and disappointed in herself. Sakura, you have rather impressive chakra control, and if you strengthen your taijutsu and then add in your chakra you will become a force to be reckoned with. Akito told the only girl in the training field as he pulled out a scroll and handed it to her. Inside you will find taijutsu stances and the theory of how to incorporate your chakra. I also think you should seriously consider learning medical ninjutsus as well. Your chakra control is perfect and I have a feeling you would excel in that. Wow, thank you Akito-sama. I will do my best and I will consider your words. Sakura looked pleased at his praise and his encouragement, if not intrigued about his words about her excelling in medical ninjutsus. Now Naruto, I think Akira would be better suited to train you. He is a master in kenjutsu and I bet you want to learn how to use your own katana. Akito jerked his chin at Raijin that Naruto had left by a nearby tree, unsure as how to use it. Come on Naruto, let's get training. Akira clapped his hands together and the blonde scurried over to the second redhead and the two went off a ways to train from the rest of the team. Sasuke, I want you to spar against me. Akito called over and raven-haired Genin nodded. Sakura moved out of the way, intently studying the scroll as she sat down by Kakashi. This isn't anything goes spar, show me your best. Akito stated as Sasuke dropped into an Uchiha clan stance while the redhead just stood there. Begin! Kakashi called out and lifted up his Hitaite to view the battle with his Sharingan, having a feeling he would need it as from the look in Akito's eyes the redhead was not going to go easy on the Uchiha. Sasuke rushed at Akito, kunai in hand and ready to strike. Akito brought up his hand and deflected the blow by twisting his wrist around the handle of the weapon and latching onto Sasuke's wrist and twisted it violently, making the genin drop the weapon. Sasuke tried to recover by giving the redhead a high kick with his right foot. Akito brought up his other arm and blocked the kick. Akito twisted his body and using his momentum and advantage of holding onto the raven-haired genin's limb and tossed him across the clearing and into a tree trunk. Sasuke grunted as he made contact with the trunk and he staggered up onto his feet, glaring at the redhead. Want to give up? Akito questioned with a smirk. Never. Sasuke grunted and quickly made hand signs. Katan, Hosenka no Jutsu, Fire Style, Phoenix Flower Jutsu. Akito tensed and leapt up into the air, his cloak billowing out around him, and he hovered in the air as the Katan Jutsu flew below him out of his range. Sasuke glared up at the hovering redhead and growled under his breath and wrapped his hand around his opposite wrist, and it started to crackle with chirka, and the sound of birds chirping filled the air as Sasuke formed Chidori. He leapt up into the sky towards the redhead and extended his hand. Ration, Chidori! Sasuke cried out. Akito dropped down out of range. He moved underneath the attack and sank his fist into Sasuke's stomach. Sasuke coughed as his chirka faded out. Akito pushed more strength into his fist and used it to hit Sasuke down towards the ground. Akito stayed hovering in the air as he watched Sasuke created a small crater in the training ground below. Akito landed back on the ground and peered down into the crater to see Sasuke still conscious, but breathing heavily. Winner, Akito Kazama. Kakashi announced before he stood beside the redhead as Sasuke pulled himself out of the crater he created. The Uchiha hissed under his breath as he nursed his wounds as Akito stood by indifferently with Kakashi by his side. On the inside, Akito was laughing, feeling happy that he finally got to beat up Sasuke. Good match, bro. Akira sauntered over with Naruto in tow, both looking extremely pleased about something. I think we should break for lunch and then the teamwork training can begin. Sakura had tucked the scroll away and had joined their group, eyeing Sasuke worriedly as she had seen the fall he took. We should go to Ichiraku's. It has the best ramen ever. Naruto begged excitedly. Can we go, Kakashi-sensei, can we? If Akira and Akito don't mind. Kakashi said slowly. No way, it's been ages since I've had good ramen, and if it's as good as Naruto says, then I have to try it. Akira said just as excitedly, while Akito rolled his eyes as the blonde and redhead walked out of the training grounds towards Ichiraku's, Sakura trailing behind them having a thinking face on while Akito walked beside Kakashi. Sasuke had just growled at them and went in the opposite way of the group. Does that happen a lot? Akira asked Kakashi quietly as the group enters Ichiraku's, Naruto telling Ayame and Teuchi about Akira and Akito and their training so far, with the father-daughter pair smiling brightly at their favorite customer as he rambled on happily. More than it should, Kakashi admitted just as quietly as he settled in a seat next to Akira with Akito on his brother's other side. The subject was dropped as they ordered their ramen, and Akito rolled his eyes as both Naruto and Akira dug into the food with gusto, looking much like brothers. Sakura was eating her ramen, every so often whacking Naruto on the head, telling him off for his bad manners, while Kakashi just watched with happiness visible in his one eye. Ah, Naruto-kun, Sakura-chan, Kakashi-san. Irika said, pleasantly surprised as he entered the restaurant coming across the group. Irika-sensei. Both Naruto and Sakura beamed at their old sensei while Kakashi's head snapped around to give the Chunin an eye smile. Akira and Akito caught each other's eyes and smirked at the two senseis behind their backs. Ma, why don't you join us, Irika-sensei? Kakashi questioned, pulling over an empty chair for the Chunin, who blushed across his scar as he slid into the seat after glancing at the others at the table, who nodded encouragingly. Arigato, Kakashi-san. Irika smiled at the silver-haired jounin, who slid back in his own seat. Ma, I told you to call me Kakashi. Kakashi scratched his hair. Ma'am. Akira hummed lowly to Akito, who smirked, biting back a snort. Irika-sensei, this is Akira and Akito Kazama. They helped us out during the invasion and are training us today. Naruto said excitedly, introducing the two redheads. It's nice to meet you, I'm Irika Umino. I was Naruto and Sakura's sensei back in the academy. Irika inclined his head to the twins. Nice to meet you, Irika-sensei. Akira smiled brightly at his older brother. Have you heard anything about the results of the Chunin exams? Irika asked Kakashi and Naruto. Nothing yet. I believe Hokage-sama is going to make a decision when the aftermath is sorted out. Kakashi said, stroking his masked chin. I really want to know if we just did all that fighting for nothing or not. Naruto complained and was whacked by his pink-haired teammate while both the jounin shook their heads in amusement. Akira just patted Naruto on the shoulder in sympathy while Akito grinned at Sakura, who smiled back, feeling more confident around the two redhead ninjas. I'm sure the Sandame will tell people soon, don't worry too much about it, Kit. Akira patted Naruto on the head in a comforting way. The group spent the rest of the lunch break discussing random things, all the while Irika and Kakashi exchanging looks with Akira and Akito, mumming each time, gaining a confused look from Naruto and a blush plus a giggle from Sakura as she was catching on to what was happening between the two senseis. With a fond farewell to Irika, the group headed back to the training ground to see Sasuke waiting there for them, looking less grumpy than before, and he gave Akito a small nod of acceptance and Akito sent one back. This was a good first step for Sasuke not defecting. Also, having taken Orochimaru and Kabuto out was another pretty big step as well. Alright, so now we are going to work on your teamwork. Akito, would you do the honors? Akira glances at his twin, who nodded with a small smirk on his lips. With pleasure, dear brother. Dotun, Marrow, Earth-style, Labyrinth. Akito slammed both his hands onto the ground, a pulse was sent out from his palms, and the group watched as large slabs of rock and packed dirt rose up and formed an intricate pattern. Whoa! Naruto gasped as he craned his neck upwards to see the true height of the maze. This is your test. My brother and I are going to be inside the labyrinth. Your mission is to find us, and we will be doing our best to evade you three. Akira explained the test, with nods to confirm they understood. The red-headed twins floated up into the air and disappeared into the maze. Kakashi leapt up onto the tallest tree in the clearing to oversee his genins. Once inside the maze, the twins made kagebunshin and hinged into birds and flew back out just as Team 7 entered the maze. The two changed back to their human forms and settled down by the base of the tree Kakashi was perched on. He gave them an amused look before paying attention to his team. Akito leaned back, pillowing his head on his hands and closed his eyes ready for a nap. Akira crossed his legs and tried to focus on the nature around him. 5 minutes into the test, his eyebrow twitched as Jiraiya's Churka came closer to the training area. He opened his eyes and squinted at the white-haired Sannin, who raised a hand in greeting to Kakashi. Jiraiya made his way over to where the twins were sitting and sat beside Akira. "Afternoon, Akira," Jiraiya said cheerfully. "Jiraiya-sama," Akira said respectfully. It took a lot of effort not to call him Ero-sennin. "So seer blood, huh?" Jiraiya said quietly, watching the clouds gently move across the sky. "Yes, I take it you have a question you wish to know an answer for?" Akira eyed Jiraiya, who looked nervous about the answer he was going to get for the question on his mind. "I do." Jiraiya trailed off and Akira braced himself for a perverted question or something to do with Tsunade. What he got instead surprised him. "Naruto. Does he make it?" Jiraiya asked softly. Akira blinked. He had not been expecting that. "What do you mean?" Akira said slowly, noticing that Akito shifted a bit to show he too was listening. "You said there was a war coming." "I don't care about myself, I just need to know if he makes it," Jiraiya said, eyeing the maze clearing, tracking Naruto's Churka within it. "He makes it, but you shouldn't be so careless with your own life. If you died, he would be devastated and there would be a hole in his chest that would never fully heal," Akira said in a somber tone, and Jiraiya seemed to take this in for consideration as he sat in silence for a while. Akira took a steadying breath as he closed his eyes and focused on his breathing. "You're right," Jiraiya said after a while, the team's still not out of the maze yet. "Naruto has been alone for his whole life and I refuse to leave him alone any longer. I will not die, I will live. For my godson," Jiraiya said with conviction, and Akira felt a genuine smile spread on his lips. "Keep that in mind, and what we have foreseen for your fate will never come to pass," Akira said sternly, placing his hand on Jiraiya's shoulder as the Toad Sage smiled at the redhead. "I will, thank you." Jiraiya nodded his head seriously. "Any other advice you have for me?" "Naruto is a good kid and he deserves a family, even if they are just stories." Akito spoke up with one eye opening slightly. "I'm going to take Naruto with me to bring Tsunade back. I'm guessing that you already know this." "I'll tell him some stories then, I swear," Jiraiya said mostly to himself. "Good, and maybe if you give him a better name he won't call you Ero-sennin anymore." Akito snickered at the eyebrow twitch the nickname got. "That is a brilliant idea, Akito." Jiraiya looked relieved by the mere idea of not having to be called that nickname any longer. He started to mutter new ideas for nicknames under his breath as the walls of the maze started to shake and shatter. It relieved all three members of Team 7 surrounding the kagebunshins of Akira and Akito, the two of which disappeared in a puff of smoke. Akira and Akito stood up as the exhausted but pleased-looking team approached them as Kakashi dropped down from the tree. "Well, well." Akira placed his hands on his hips as he glared down the trio. "Congrats! You found us together as team. Looks like you each learned something today." His face turned cheery and he beamed happily at the trio. Each genin brightened up at the words and the nod of approval Akito tacked onto the end of Akira's words, and Kakashi giving them an eye smile. "Hiya, Ero-sennin." Naruto waved cheerfully at the Toad Sage, whose eyebrow twitched as the muttering of new nickname ideas increased. "Naruto, we are going to find a certain blonde tomorrow. So be packed and at the front gates at 8 a.m. Jiraiya ordered Naruto, patting the blonde genin on his head while the blonde nodded his head in excitement. "That's all we have for the day." Akira looked at Kakashi. "Then training for today is done. Now what do you say to Akira and Akito?" Kakashi looked at his students. Arigato. Sakura and Naruto bowed respectfully while Sasuke gave his usual HN, but he did incline his head in respect. Well, as much respect Sasuke gave anyone. Our pleasure. Akira assured the group. Come on, Akira, I want to sleep before you force me to cook. Akita waved at the group of shinobi in front of them before grabbing Akira by the back of his cloak and dragged his twin off, much to the amusement of the group. So I've been wrangled into training with Team 8 today while you are off bringing Lady Tsunade back. Shikamaru grumbled as he ran his fingers through a difficult knot in his black hair as he watched Naruto pack for the trip to the nearby town. Have fun with that. What was Akira's excuse for not being there? Naruto asked, amused as he double-checked he had everything, as he knew he was going to run in with Itachi Uchiha and Kasame Hashigaki and would have to hold his own before Jiraiya showed up, and he would have to protect Sasuke if he still showed up. He's helping out by covering Irika-sensei in the mission room. Apparently Irika-sensei is unable to come into work today and Kakashi already called off Team 7's training due to you being gone. I think we both know why Irika-sensei isn't going into work today. Shikamaru finished with a knowing smirk while Naruto laughed loudly. Glad he's just a bunshin, but still, I have to deal with those memories later. Ugh, mission room duty is the worst. Naruto complained as he tied his hitayate around his forehead and looked at his new clothing that Jiraiya had sent for him late last night. Naruto had literally burned his orange jumpsuit in a ball of fire and did a little dance around the small bonfire, dragging Shikamaru along for the ride, and it amused Chiyohime and Yoshino to no end. Naruto decided he would wait till he was 16 to get his normal outfit. In the meantime, he was glad to be wearing a present from his godfather, and no money came from his precious Gamma wallet. Naruto was wearing standard black shinobi pants and sandals. Dull orange bandages were seen between the top of his sandals and the cuffs of his pants, his holster still on his usual leg, and the bandages were still white. More orange bandages were wrapped around his wrists. He had a black short-sleeved shirt underneath an orange sleeveless hooded jacket. His hitayate was sewn onto black fabric and the ties were long, just like they were in their future. Finally, the Kill Me orange jumpsuit is gone. Shikamaru smirked as he pulled his now not free hair up into his usual ponytail. I know, right? I really like the bandages. I accidentally put some churkin into them and they stabilized it, so check this out. Naruto bounced on his heels excitedly as he threw his right arm up, and Shikamaru watched with raised eyebrows as red-orange churka chains flew out, the kunai end hitting the potted plant in the corner of the room. It then flew back up and wrapped around the bandages on Naruto's wrist before disappearing altogether. Your Uzumaki churka chains. You got them back. That's awesome and rather useful. Shikamaru said in a low voice. Do you think Jiraiya knows about the bandages and the chains? I think he may be leading up to it. I honestly have no idea what is going to happen on this trip to get Tsunade. I made sure to send a bunshin away from the village flaring its churka so Itachi and Kisame will not come to the village to find me, so they will not hurt Kakashi or anyone else. Also, Sasuke may not come after us again, as Itachi was never in the village to start with. Naruto ranted quietly while grabbing his backpack. Do you want me to back you up? Shikamaru questioned, worry in his voice. No, I'll be fine. I can handle Itachi and Kisame, even more so now. Naruto placed his hands on Shikamaru's shoulders, looking his best friend dead in the eyes. You know I can handle myself, and now that I have my chains back I can definitely deal with them now. Naruto gave a foxy smile and Shikamaru nodded slowly. If anything goes wrong, I don't give a hell about our covers and secrets. Grab Jiraiya and Hiraishin out of there and back to our safe point. Shikamaru ordered sternly. Hi, Commander-sama. Naruto said cheekily before he ducked out of the way of Shikamaru's oncoming fist. Well, I'm off. I'll be back with Erosenin and Bachan soon. Naruto waved to Shikamaru as the blonde left the room to head to the front gates to meet Jiraiya. Shikamaru sighed as he fell back onto his bed and thought up a plan for Team 8 while fending off Kurenai and Akamaru Snows. This was all way too troublesome for the Nara, but it was either that or he would have to sit around the compound and face his Tusan and Shogi again, and for once he didn't want that. // Where are you going, Senin? Naruto looked up from his spot on one of the two beds and the duo had stopped in on their way to find Tsunade. As he predicted, Itachi and Kisame avoided Konoha altogether. The Sandaime was alive and Orochimaru taken care of, so there was no reason to remind people Itachi was still alive and watching, and followed their trail instead, and he didn't sense any of Sasuke's chakra nearby, so two things had changed so far. This, however, was a good thing, and Naruto was more than ready to face the two Akatsuki members down alone, as Jiraiya was off to do whatever he was doing before he came back to save his godson. I have something I need to take care of. Stay here and you'll be fine, Naruto-chan. Jiraiya ruffled the blonde hair fondly, remembering doing the same thing to Minato when he was this age. I'm going to kill Kakashi-sensei for this. Naruto grumbled. First Yoshino-chan and now Senin. Jiraiya just laughed as he retracted his hand. I will tell you all about Kakashi when he was your age. He was practically Minato's son, so that makes him your Nisan. Jiraiya smirked at the very Kushina look Naruto got on his face, and he swore that if Naruto had longer and red hair it would look just like hers did when she got mad or got a prank idea. He's so going to get it. Naruto grumbled before he tossed himself onto his bed, throwing his right forearm over his eyes. Don't be too long, okay? I have a weird feeling about this place. I will. Now get some sleep, we will have a long day tomorrow. Jiraiya took Naruto's weird feeling into account before he patted Naruto's foot and left the room. Naruto sat up and crossed his legs. He focused and let two chakra chains appear, both wrapped around his wrists and spread out in a circle around him. He sat like this for a good 10 minutes before they started to tremble and jerk around. Naruto let them disappear and slid off the bed and readied himself as Itachi and Kisame were just down the hall from his room. Be ready, they have yet to get even one Jinchuriki, as the others have listened to their bijus and were on high alert or have gone to Killer Bee. Don't give too much away, but don't let them catch you. Kurama reported to the blonde who was approaching the door, now letting the chains disappear for the time being. I don't plan on it. If I can get Kisame out of the way, I can tell Itachi I know the truth and maybe give him something to think about. He deserves to be able to live his own life back with Sasuke in the village if he wishes. Naruto thought back as he opened the door and leaned against the doorframe and looked unimpressed at the two Akatsuki members who were only a few feet away. Is there a reason you two are following me? Naruto asked, doing his best to sound bored. Naruto Uzumaki. Kisame intoned, eyeing the blonde 12-year-old unimpressed. Naruto eyed the blue skin and gills as he stared back with the same unimpressed look. That would be me. Can I help you? Naruto asked, eyeing Itachi with a knowing look. Come with us quietly, or else you will get hurt. Kisame ordered, and Naruto pushed off the doorframe and stood his ground. I don't think so. Naruto flicked his wrists and his chains flew out at a supersonic speed and wrapped themselves around Kisame tightly and pinned him to the opposite wall. Now be a good fishy and stay there while I talk with your partner. Kisame struggled against the chakra chains, but to his dismay they tightened and started to absorb his chakra instead as Itachi eyed the blonde interested. Damn, Shikamaru was right, my chains are awesome. Naruto laughed before he started to use ANBU hand signs, knowing Itachi would understand. I know the truth about the Uchiha slaughter, and I know what you did to protect the village and Sasuke. I also know what you are planning for Sasuke when he gets strong enough, but know that it will not end well for him, the village or the world. Naruto signed and watched from the corner of his eye as Itachi took in the message, and his eyes widened an inch before he signed back. Who told you this? I will explain everything in the near future. Just know that Jinchuriki hunting and being part of the Akatsuki is not the way to bring peace to the world, something we both desperately want. Naruto finished signing just as the wall a few feet down from Itachi exploded and Jiraiya made his usual flashy entrance, but he stopped short when he saw Itachi just standing there and Kisame wrapped tightly in glowing red-orange chakra chains coming from his godson. Did I miss something? Jiraiya dropped down next to his godson, making sure to stand between Naruto and Itachi. Nothing much really, but look at these wicked chains I just figured out how to use. Naruto grinned excitedly and Jiraiya took in the glowing chakra chains and the annoyed-looking Kisame. Naruto, you just captured Kisame Hashigaki, one of the 7 swordsmen of the Mist and an Akatsuki member. Jiraiya kept one eye on Itachi, but the Uchiha didn't seem to even care about his captured teammate. He was just studying Naruto with an interested look on the visible part of his face. Aha! So what should we do with him? Naruto tilted his head to the side. It depends on Itachi Uchiha, I guess. Jiraiya dropped into a fighting stance. Yo Fishy, I got a proposal for you. Naruto approached Kisame, foregoing Jiraiya's calls to stay back, and wary gazes he was shooting Itachi, who was just standing by waiting to see what the genin would do next. What do you want, brat? Kisame growled, slouched against the wall he was pinned to by Naruto's chains. Do you agree with the plans the Akatsuki have, or are you just hanging around because you like partnering with Itachi? Naruto questioned, consciously using his Kage voice on the swordsman. Meh, being partners with Itachi is interesting and I've got nothing better to do. Kisame said honestly after a moment of thought. Thought as much, while my proposal is as follows, Fishy. Naruto pulled out a seal from his pack and held it up, ignoring the intake of breath from Jiraiya. What is that supposed to be? Kisame eyed it suspiciously. It's a seal, genius. Naruto snorted and Kisame growled lowly. It is one that is used throughout Jiraiya's spy network. The proposal is this. You and Itachi stay in the Akatsuki and do what you want to do under their orders, and if something big is being planned, use this seal and it will transfer the information to Jiraiya. Naruto left out the part about where it would come to him and Shikamaru first, but somatic. Just keep an eye on Itachi, make sure he doesn't overuse his eyes and doesn't fall ill, avoid Konoha, and use the seal. That's all I'm asking here, and in return I'll let you live. Naruto tightened the churka chains to prove his point. One more flick of my wrist and all your churka will be absorbed and your weak fishy body will be torn to shreds. So do we have a deal? The two stared each other down for a while before Kisame sighed. Fine you brat, we have a deal, now get these damn chains off of me. Pleasure doing business with you, Kisame. Naruto smirked and slapped the seal onto Kisame's upper arm and it sunk past the cloak and into his skin before turning the same color as Kisame's skin. Naruto turned to Itachi, who silently pulled down his collar knowing Naruto was going to ask him the same thing, and Naruto placed the seal on the Uchiha. Now off you go, just tell your boss that Jiraiya interfered. Naruto retracted his chains and Kisame slightly stumbled over to Itachi. Let's go. Itachi eyed Naruto once more, who just waved cheerfully at his new informants as the two walked away, leaving a pleased Naruto and a stunned Jiraiya in their wake. What was that? Jiraiya rounded on his blonde godson. I did say I had a weird feeling about this place, Arosenin. Was all Naruto said before he went back into the room and fell onto the bed, falling asleep as his 12-year-old body wasn't used to upholding his chains for such a long period of time. Minato, Kushina, you two made one interesting kid. Minato, you would be proud of how he handled himself, like a true Hokage. Hell, I'm proud if not confused. Jiraiya muttered as he leaned against the headboard of Naruto's bed and gently ran his fingers through Naruto's blonde hair as the genin slept on. / Akito dangled his feet off the head of the Yandane Hokage as he waited for Team 8 to come back from their laps around the village. He had opted for different clothes this time around, less combat and more standard. He had his hair down for once. He wore black shinobi pants, sandals and long-sleeved shirt with a green flak jacket unzipped over it. He had his katana and trench knives on him, as he never went anywhere without them out of habit. He tried hard not to think about Naruto being out of the village with Jiraiya, as he knew his Hokage could handle himself, but he still felt uneasy for not being by his side. As he watched the village go on with its daily life, he felt a rock settle in the pit of his stomach, his instincts telling him something rotten was growing and spread. He knew what that rottenness was. It was in the form of Danzo and Root, but he couldn't make a move just yet. He knew they needed backing from Tsunade and a good cause to go and kick Danzo's ass. He knew they had to stop the Akatsuki first before they could make any real progress on Danzo and hopefully rehabilitate his Root members, including Sai. Sorry making you wait for us, Akito-kun. Kurenai called his Team 8 and surprisingly Team 10 came puffing up, Shikamaru alongside Ino and Shoji. It's fine, if I had known I was going to train two teams I would have dragged Akira out of the mission room. Akito smirked and Kurenai giggled. Sorry Akito-kun, I ran into Asuma and his team. Once they heard you were training us they wouldn't take no for an answer. Kurenai explained and Akito waved his hand dismissively. It's fine, this could work well actually. Akito hummed as he mentally rewrote the lesson plan to incorporate Team 10. Is it true Akito-san? Ino spoke up eyeing the redhead with a glint in her eye, one that Akito knew from being around the blonde for so long meant she was eyeing him up and making mental notes. That you defeated Sasuke-kun? I heard you punched him so hard that when he hit the ground he left a crater. Kiba snickered as Akamaru yipped before trotting over to Akito sniffing at him, his eyes darting over to Shikamaru his nose twitching. Akito knelt down and started to scratch Akamaru behind his ears just how he liked it. Akamaru licked his hand in understanding. Well, I won our spar if that is what you are asking. Akito said simply. Wicked. Kiba bared his fangs as he smiled, eyeing Akamaru who was almost purring as Akito scratched him. Alright, so here is the lesson for today. I'm going to split you 6 into 3 teams of 2. Ino and Shino, Hinata and Shoji and finally Kiba, Akamaru and Shikamaru. Akito stood up and said after getting nods from both Kurenai and Asuma explained the first part of his lesson plan. There was of course some outrage at the pairings, but they fell silent when Akito raised his right hand in front of him. Each pair is assigned some D-rank missions for the day. Your objective is to learn how to adapt and grow as a person and as a team as you never know when you will have to partner with someone unexpected. Akito said. Mentally he added that the Konoha 12 will become a flawless ANBU team in the future and wanted to push them down the right path early on. Akito handed each pair a few scrolls and sent them on their way. Do you have any reasoning behind the pairings Akito-kun? Kurenai asked as she and Asuma subconsciously flanked the redhead. Akito please. Akito said absently before he dropped back down into his previous spot overlooking the village and both the Jounin sat beside him. Kurenai and Asuma nodded at his words and waited in silence for him to continue. I do have some reasons behind the pairings. Shino is too withdrawn, Ino is the opposite and she seems to have a tendency to bring out someone's inner self while Shino will be able to keep her calm. Hinata and Shoji both have the same self-confidence issues, but have it in themselves to become stronger and flourish in their own ways. As they are paired up they will have to bring out their inner strength to finish the missions. Finally I put Kiba and Akamaru with Shikamaru because again they are opposites. Shikamaru is calm and collected while Kiba is hyper and impulsive. If anyone can calm Kiba down it is Shikamaru. Akito finished his explanation, noticing the stunned looks he was getting from the Jounins. That is very sound reasoning Akito. Asuma pulled out a cigarette and offered one to Akito who gladly took one. Kurenai was glaring harshly at the two and in the end the two had to put the cigarettes out or face her wrath. Akito smiled slightly bitterly at the scene he was taking part in. This is how it should have been in his future. This is going to happen in the future if he and Naruto had anything to say about it. Come on. Why won't you tell me? Jiraiya needled his godson as they walked into Tanzaku town where Jiraiya heard Tsunade was located. I have to have some secrets Ero-senin. Naruto said cheekily. Now are we going to find Tsunade or not? Yeah, come on brat, I heard she is in a sake bar somewhere in this town. Jiraiya huffed, but was not done with this topic just yet. Naruto just smiled at the idea of meeting Bachun once again and maybe this time finally figuring out what family connection they shared. The two wondered about, stopping to ask people every so often if they knew where she was and finally they approached the right bar. Okay brat, I should go in first as she was my old teammate. Jiraiya looked down at the blonde Genin. I don't think so. I'm coming in with you. Naruto crossed his arms stubbornly. The two had a stare down before Jiraiya's shoulders slumped as he blew out a puff of air. Fine, just let me do the talking alright? Jiraiya relented. He was figuring out he could never say no to his godson and those damn blue eyes of his. Naruto beamed and hid behind Jiraiya as they entered the sake bar. "Long time, Tsunade?" Jiraiya asked the blonde sitting at the bar as he sat beside her. Naruto spotted Shizune holding Tantan beside Tsunade, looking lost at her master's drinking. "What do you want?" Tsunade slurred, annoyed at seeing Jiraiya. "I've come to bring you back to Konoha," Jiraiya said honestly. "I'm never going back. Get out of here, you perv, you are killing my buzz." Tsunade waved her arm like she was shooing a bug. "She even agrees that you are in pervero senin." Naruto snickered as he poked his head around Jiraiya's arm, and Tsunade looked at him, shock in her eyes, before she huffed and turned away. "Who's the brat?" Tsunade asked, trying to sound uninterested. "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, your great-nephew," Jiraiya said in a low voice, and both blondes startled. "Oh, so she's my great-aunt," Naruto thought, amazed. "I guess your nickname for her is closer to the truth than you thought." Kurama agreed. "Should I shock her?" Naruto questioned. "Couldn't hurt, she needs to sober up and give us some answers." Kurama grunted. "She's my great-aunt, huh? Well, I've got a bone to pick with her then." Naruto growled and flicked his wrists. The drunk Sannin let out a surprised shout as red-orange chains wrapped around the blonde, pulling her off of her stool. "We are going to have a little talk, Bachan," Naruto said cheerfully as he walked out of the bar, pulling Tsunade behind him, Shizune, Tantan and Jiraiya following. The latter was shaking his head amused, while Shizune hugged Tantan tighter as they ended up in a small clearing where in the previous timeline Naruto had stayed there for a solid week learning the Rasengan. Naruto released his chains and watched Tsunade, now sober, get to her feet with rage in her eyes. "You have no reason to be mad, Bachan," Naruto said calmly. "Don't call me that brat," Tsunade hissed, but there was an edge of playfulness in her voice. Yeah, okay, Bachan, listen. I need to know. Are you really my great-aunt?" Naruto swallowed hard to remove the lump that was lodged in his throat. "Yes, on your mother's side," Tsunade admitted, and was taken by surprise when she was suddenly on the ground. She had been tackled by Naruto, who had his 12-year-old arms wrapped around her waist and face buried in her large chest. She blinked as she felt a wetness form there, and Naruto's body shudder every so often. She blinked again as she understood that he was sobbing silently. She looked up at Jiraiya, who knelt down by her head. "He has been alone and treated as an outcast and a demon by the whole village. He thought he was alone in the world. You should have seen him when he found out I was his godfather. Punched me hard enough to think you had been training him, and then hugged me so tight I thought I couldn't breathe," Jiraiya explained softly. "You weren't in the village looking after him?" Tsunade asked, surprised and angry at the treatment her great-nephew had been put through. "No, I thought you were. Danzo and the elders convinced me to leave him in your care and go work on my spy network." Jiraiya's voice was one of concealed anger, and Tsunade felt her arms tightening around Naruto of their own will. "They told me you were looking after him as his godfather, that's why I left without him." Tsunade growled. "It doesn't matter anymore," Naruto announced as he looked up from where he was hugging his great-aunt. "All that matters is none of us are going to be alone ever again." This gained smiles from all the adults present before Naruto burrowed his way back into the hug he was giving Tsunade. "Why did you come now?" Tsunade eyed Jiraiya. "What happened?" "During the Chunin exams Orochimaru tried to invade Konoha and kill Sensei," Jiraiya said bluntly, and Tsunade's eyes widened before they narrowed. "What happened?" "Well, first off he tried to take Sasuke Uchiha during the round in the Forest of Death, but Naruto here and his best friend Shikamaru Nara fought him off," Jiraiya said proudly. Tsunade looked down at the blonde in surprise, but all she got was a foxy grin from the Genin. Jiraiya went on to explain about Akira and Akito Kazama, how Orochimaru was finally killed, sealed, and the village was safe. He explained about what Akira and Akito saw and that the Sandame wanted her to become Godame. Tsunade snorted at the final thought and then flat out refused to become the new Hokage. "I'll make you a bet, Bachan." Naruto spoke up after internally panicking for a moment. "A bet?" Tsunade looked at the blonde who was now sitting beside her on the ground instead of pinning her down with a hug. "If I can't surprise you in the next 5 minutes, you win and you don't have to become Godame." Naruto smiled. "And if you win I'll come back and become Godame, hell I'll even throw my necklace in," Tsunade said with a smirk, knowing that there was no way she could lose. The two shook on it and Naruto jumped to his feet. "Prepare to be amazed." Naruto shouted and made a Kage Bunshin, and together they easily created the Rasengan in the palm of Naruto's hand. He laughed as he took in the utterly surprised and shocked faces of Tsunade, Shizune, Tonton, and Jiraiya. "Rasengan!" Naruto shouted as he slammed it into a nearby tree, sending it flying into numerous others before shattering. "How did you know that jutsu? I never mentioned it or trained you in how to use it." Jiraiya gasped and Tsunade sat there speechless. "Well, if I'm going to take after my two-sen, I figured I should know how to use one of his famous jutsus, ne? I'm going to be the Orange Hokage one day after all, Databeo." Naruto gave a peace sign and tensed as Tsunade walked over to him. She pulled him into a hug and clipped the Shodai's necklace around the blonde's neck, returning it to its rightful place. She didn't know that, mind you, and kissed him on the forehead. "Damn. Looks like I'm becoming Godame brat." Tsunade huffed before she got an armful of blonde Genin once again. "We can all be a family, Bachan." Naruto laughed happily, truly happy his strange family was coming together again, and he was determined to keep it together this time. Even if he and Shikamaru had to fight the war on their own, he would keep them safe this time around. All right, brat. Shizune." Tsunade pried Naruto off her as she looked over at the woman. "Hi?" Shizune asked, snapping to attention. "If I'm going to be Godame, I'm going to need an personal advisor. I hope you weren't planning on doing any more traveling because we are going home." Tsunade smirked and Shizune grinned happily back. "Yes, let's go home, Lady Tsunade." Shizune agreed. "Speaking of, Bachan, I have the perfect new apprentice for you." Naruto trailed off as the group headed towards the gates of the town. "I'm already regretting this." Tsunade grumbled as Jiraiya snickered, but casted a look at the rambling blonde who was talking happily to his newly discovered family member. Naruto was just layer after layer of secrets and skills, and Jiraiya had a feeling that him and Shikamaru Nara were not as they seemed, and something else happened in the Forest of Death that they weren't telling anyone. Jiraiya was going to find out even if it took him the rest of his life. // It's been a while, Tsunade. Hiruzen puffed his pipe as he looked at the people gathered in his office: Tsunade, Shizune, Tonton, Jiraiya, and Naruto. "It has, sensei," Tsunade said respectfully to the Sandame. "I assume that you have been briefed of events that have happened here as of late?" Hiruzen questioned. Tsunade nodded. "I know you, Tsunade. Why did you agree to become Godame?" "I lost a bet to the brat of a great nephew." Tsunade jerked a thumb over at Naruto, who waved before he fell onto a nearby couch and closed his eyes to rest. "You're not kidding." Hiruzen laughed at the put-out look Tsunade was sporting. "What did he do?" "Secret Gigi." Naruto sang from his place on the couch where Tonton was now resting on his stomach comfortably. "What the brat said." Tsunade agreed, figuring that if Naruto wanted to keep knowing the Rasengan to himself, he had a good reason. "I summoned Akira and Akito Kazama here to talk with you, if that is all right," the Sandame stated as someone knocked on the door, and Tsunade nodded just in time for Akira and Akito to walk in. "Akira!" Naruto called out. Akira ruffled the blonde's hair. "Welcome back, Kit. Lucky you got to leave the village. I was stuck in the mission room because Kakashi had to go out with Irika last night." Akira huffed and Akito smothered a snort. "Sakura owes me ramen," she said. They weren't together. Naruto said smugly while the Sandaime coughed, covering his own laughter. Ah, sorry Hokage-sama. Akira rubbed his neck sheepishly. Akira, Akito Kazama, meet Tsunade and Shizune. Hiruzen gestured to the newcomers. I'm Akira, he's Akito. Nice to meet you both. Akira jerked his thumb at this twin who bowed respectfully. So you two are the Red Demon twins with the seer blood. Tsunade inspected the redhead twins critically. Any advice you care to share? Things will get better before they get worse. Akito said cryptically. I can guarantee you that your head will look great on the mountainside. Akira said cheerfully, causing Naruto to snicker from his place on the couch. Is that it? Tsunade looked unimpressed. Sasuke Uchiha. Akito spoke up sharply. We have seen the true story when Itachi told his little brother before Sasuke killed him. Okay, Tobi told Sasuke a version of the truth, but they couldn't bring him up just yet, or the fact that he got the whole Uchiha history from the 4 previous Hokages. Silence covered the office and Naruto didn't react, knowing where Akito was going with this. He defected from the village to join Orochimaru, but as the snake is dead he will not defect to join Oto this time around. However, he yearns for power to kill his brother. There is a way to prevent 2 pointless deaths. Tell Sasuke Uchiha the complete truth about what truly happened to his clan, to his brother, and train him more intensely so he can defend himself against his brother if the time comes that Itachi forces Sasuke to kill him in battle. Akito said gravely. We know you cannot tell him as Sandaime, however once the Godame takes over no one can stop you from visiting the Uchiha compound and telling him the whole truth under the guise of a visit to see how the last Uchiha is holding up. Akira added in, seeing Hiruzen's mouth open to protest. If what you say is true, he should know the truth about his clan. I was going to tell him, I was going to wait until he was older. It seemed that in that alternate timeline I did not have the chance. I will tell him once I name Tsunade Godame. Hiruzen agreed, looking every bit the old soul he was. Lady Tsunade, you don't need much help, just watch the elders on the council. They have plans that will not be beneficial to anyone except themselves. Akira warned seriously. You are talking about Danzo? Hiruzen leaned forward with a look of disbelief on his face. Yes, as Godame you need to keep a strong stance against him and his supporters. Follow your instincts and advice of only those you trust completely. Akito sighed warily, thinking about Sai, Root, and the Uchiha slaughter, and who knows how far Danzo's destructive reach stretched. I will. Tsunade swore. I never did like Danzo anyways. She grumbled, and Taunton made a snort of agreement. He was part of the group that lied to both of us about the care of Naruto. Jiraiya hissed. Akira and Akito exchanged looks and bowed to both Tsunade and Hiruzen before silently leaving the office, knowing that where this conversation was going and they figured it should be done in private. Not like Naruto wasn't going to tell Shikamaru/Akito later that night, but it was courtesy. What do you mean? Hiruzen asked, confused. Shouldn't Kakashi-sensei be here before we get into this? Naruto called over. The brat's right, bring in Hataki. Tsunade agreed, and Hiruzen nodded sharply to the corner of the room, and Tenzo Shushined away to gather his old ANBU captain. Moments passed, and soon Kakashi and Tenzo Shushined into the office. Kakashi eyed everyone in the room and out of reflex moved closer to Naruto on the couch before he nodded to the others in the room. Please explain Jiraiya, Tsunade. Hiruzen turned to his students. After that night, I went to find Naruto, Minato, and Kushina. However, Danzo, Hamura Mitokado, and Koharu Udatana pulled me away from my search. I was told that Minato and Kushina were dead and the Nine Tails was sealed inside the Naruto. They then told me that he was placed in the care of Tsunade and I needed to go and work on my spy network. Believing them, I agreed and left the village, thinking that Naruto was with family and Kakashi would be there as well. Jiraiya explained his side of the story with anger in his eyes. Naruto was sitting up with Taunton in his lap as he watched and listened carefully, feeling his own anger building up in his gut. My story is the same as Jiraiya's, but they told me Jiraiya was looking after Naruto as he is his godfather, so I took Shizune and left. Tsunade agreed, her fists clenching and unclenching. After that night I was unstable and Danzo suggested that I should join the ANBU to learn to control my emotions. I questioned about Naruto. He assured me he was being taken care of. I looked for him when I had time off, but it seemed like he dropped off the map. I didn't find out what was truly happening to him until he reached the academy and saw how skinny and pale he was, so I left him small gifts and some food. I then put in my registration from the ANBU and requested to become his Jounin sensei, and it was approved by Hokage-sama. Kakashi explained his part of the story. So you are saying that I could have had a real family, but Danzo and his damn council were the reason I had a horrible, abusive and lonely childhood? Naruto asked, pupil slitting like a fox and his whiskers darkening. Naruto, calm down. Kurama shouted at the blonde whose anger and churka was rising up. It's his fault. Naruto hissed, not listening to the biju. Kurama growled, and soon Naruto was crouched in ankle-deep water outside the open cage where Kurama was waiting. What are we doing here? I am going to murder Danzo and be done with him once and for all. Naruto shouted, voice echoing around the sewer. You need to calm down, brat. If you keep going on like this you will expose how powerful you are and then everything will be utterly screwed. Kurama shouted back as he wrapped one of his tails around the blonde protectively and soothingly and held on until Naruto calmed down and the mindscape changed around him. It turned into a large open and forested area with white clouds and blue sky. Kurama sighed in relief and unfurled his tail only for Naruto to cling to the fluffy limb and sighed happily. Thanks, Kurama. I really needed that. Naruto smiled before he left his mindscape to see Kakashi and Jiraiya's faces looking down at him worried and a hand on his forehead belonging to Tsunade. Are you with us now, Nero-chan? Kakashi asked. Yeah, sorry. What happened? Naruto asked as Tsunade and Jiraiya helped him sit up. You were getting angry, then you just fell forward. Tsunade reported, checking his pupils. Good thing Kakashi was there or else you would have face-planted. Thanks, Kakashi-san. Naruto smiled at the Jounin who sat back in shock at the nickname. One nickname deserves another after all. What happened? You aren't showing any signs of dulled senses that come with fainting. Tsunade asked suspiciously. Tell them I brought you to see me and try not to make me out to be a psychotic beast, alright? Kurama ordered. Gotcha, fuzzball. Naruto mentally saluted the Nine-Tails. Well, Kurama, that's the Nine-Tails, brought me into our mindscape and told me to calm down because he could feel his churka starting to leak out and he didn't want to go on another rampage. Naruto said simply and had to bite back a laugh at the sudden silence and stillness the room at the admission. Why didn't you tell me about this when I was checking your seal? Jiraiya asked, grabbing Naruto by the shoulders, worry on his face. Because he was always there for me during the tough times and he isn't as evil as everyone makes him out to be. Naruto said calmly. He helps me out and teaches me things and he is my friend. Let me get this straight. You somehow managed to befriend the nine-tailed beast and he isn't a raging monster? Jiraiya asked this amazed. They aren't all bad, they are quite peaceful apparently and only go out of control when they are controlled. Naruto said simply before he yawned widely. Can we talk about this later? I'm exhausted. Of course, Naruto. Tsunade, the Senju estate is yours now. Hiruzen spoke up in his grandfatherly way. Thanks, sensei. Come on, Naruto. Let's go home. Tsunade helped Naruto up. What are you talking about? Naruto looked up at his aunt. Jiraiya told me about that shithole you call an apartment. As we are family, you are coming to live with me now. Tsunade grabbed the hood of Naruto's hoodie and started to drag him out. I'll let Shikako-san and Yoshino-chan know where you are. Kakashi called out as the two blondes left the office with Shizune, Tonton and Jiraiya following behind. Thanks, Ni-san. Naruto shouted back before Kakashi bowed to the Sandame and shushed Annette away. // Whoa! This place is massive. Naruto spun around inside the grand foyer of the Senju estate where Tsunade insisted he, Jiraiya and Shizen live with her. Naruto forgot how terrifying she could be when she wanted something to go her way. Glad you approve. Tsunade sounded amused before motioning the preteen to follow her. Where are we going, Bachan? Naruto asked interested. She had already given them the tour. This is someplace only someone with Uzumaki blood can enter. Mito, my grandmother and first Jinchuriki of the Ninetales, created it. Tsunade glanced over her shoulder as the two went down a spiral staircase and ended up by a huge round stone door with a blood-red seal drawn on it. Place your hand in the outline. Tsunade gestured to the door. Naruto nodded and placed his hand on the hand outline in the middle of the door and watched with bated breath as the seal lit up in Kyuubi red before the door swung open with an ominous creak. Using one hand, Tsunade pushed open the door and the two stepped inside to see a huge library covered in dust and portraits lining the stone walls. Wow, this place is amazing. Naruto swallowed. I have a clan and I can finally learn about their history. Once you are of age, you will inherit the Namikaze estate and there you will find out everything about your father's clan. Tsunade added to Naruto's statement and smiled as the blonde's eyes lit up. We can dig into the Uzumaki and Senju history another day. Right now you need to get some rest. Don't think I didn't notice you were awake all night keeping watch. Ah, okay, Bachan. Naruto rubbed his head sheepishly and followed his aunt out of the Uzumaki library, the stone door shutting behind them, and back up to the main mansion and then up to the second floor where Tsunade gave him a room that was bigger than his old apartment and was beautifully decorated. In fact, it looked like it had been made just for him. But Tsunade said it was his mother's old room as she was part of the Senju family as well. We are all just down the hall in case you need anything. Good night, brat. Tsunade kissed his forehead before she left, closing the door, leaving Naruto to his new room. Naruto decided he would explore the next day with Shikamaru as he searched through the closet and with an aha pulled out a pair of black sleep pants and a green t-shirt that had the Uzumaki clan swirl and Senju clan symbol on the shirt sleeves. He slid those on and tossed himself onto the bed, sighing happily as he sunk into the soft mattress and fluffy sheet. He burrowed his way into the fabric and almost was lulled to sleep when the door opening woke him. He decided to keep his eyes shut as they felt like lead and he wasn't sure he could open them anyways. Good night, Naruto-chan. Jiraiya whispered as he slid something onto Naruto's head and something soft into his arms that tightened around the item out of reflex. He heard the door shut and he, with great effort, peered at his arms and smiled to see a small stuffed version of Gamabunta in his arms and his hippo hat from Kakashi on his head. Naruto sighed happily as he buried his face into the soft stuffed frog. He finally had a family that truly cared about him. He couldn't wait to tell Shikamaru tomorrow and introduce him to his family as Shikamaru was and always will be his brother. I'll be damned, this mansion is rather impressive, but you are still spending some nights at my place. Shikamaru gave Naruto a stare as the two sat on the floor inside the Uzumaki library vault, scrolls and notebooks spread out around the two. Naruto jerked his head quickly in agreement, not ready to give up the home cooking and the safe haven the two had built at the Nara compound. This is amazing. Oh, look at this one, it's a kinjutsu by any other standards. Naruto showed the scroll he was reading to Shikamaru. You're going to learn it, aren't you? Shikamaru scanned the words quickly and smiled at what it did. Of course, it will be so useful. Naruto set it off to the side where a few other scrolls of jutsus he wanted to learn were located. If we use all of these, the war will be fought and won before word even gets back to Konoha that there was a problem at all. Yeah, we will only be grounded for the rest of our lives if we succeed. Shikamaru sighed as he jotted down needed information from a scroll on the Kuchiyos, Edo Tensei, Summoning Jutsu, Reanimation, and the scroll Naruto had compiled on Nagato's Edo Rinna Tensei no Jutsu. The world would be safe, so I think it would be worth it. I hope at least. Yoshino-chan's bed rest is terrifying. I don't even want to know what Bachan and Erosenin will do to me when they find out. Naruto shuddered, imagining what would happen when this was all said and done. Don't remind me. Shikamaru shuddered as well before he unrolled the scroll completely and stared at one line. He read it numerous times before he started to laugh. Are you okay? Naruto looked up, wary at the sudden laughter coming from the Nara. I know how to get them back to life without having to deal with the Shinigami, Shikamaru stated, and Naruto got the biggest grin on his face at the news. How? If we combine the Edo Tensei and the Edo Rinne Tensei, their bodies will be like they were when they were brought back using the Edo Tensei, but their souls will be brought back for good with the Edo Rinne Tensei. Once the war is done, we can use that jutsu you found a while ago to make their bodies permanent. Shikamaru finished explaining before he grunted when Naruto flew across the floor to hug him. The two ended up in a pile on the floor with Shikamaru trapped under the blonde, who was grinning ear to ear and rambling out his thanks to the Nara. Ahem, are we interrupting something? Tsunade coughed from the entrance where Jiraiya was standing beside her, his notebook out and pen moving quickly, muttering something about yaoi and a whole new audience. Not at all, Bachan. Naruto beamed as he positioned himself so he was sitting on Shikamaru's stomach while the Nara was forced to stay splayed out on his back, giving Naruto an unimpressed look. What do you need? Well, you two have been down here all day, we thought you would like to come up for dinner? Jiraiya said after getting whacked over the head by Tsunade. All day? Naruto blinked owlishly up at them. Yes, brat, all day. Now get off the other brat and come upstairs for dinner. Tsunade rolled her eyes before spinning on her heel and striding out of the library with Jiraiya being dragged along by his ear. Are you going to get off of me, you troublesome blonde? Shikamaru asked, and Naruto pretended to be thinking about it intensely. I am hungry. Naruto trailed off before he rolled off Shikamaru's stomach, but before Shikamaru could even heave a sigh of relief, the blonde grabbed the black-haired Genin around his waist and hoisted him up over his shoulder before he raced up the staircase towards the dining room where Tsunade, Jiraiya, Kakashi, Shizune, and Tonton were waiting. Naruto dropped Shikamaru down onto a chair and slid into the one next to him, a foxy smile on his lips while Shikamaru breathed heavily, shooting glares at the blonde. That's one way to enter a room. Shizune laughed, only making Shikamaru's glares towards the blonde increase. So what were you two doing down there all day? Jiraiya asked, curious about the two Genins as they dug into their food with gusto, as they hadn't eaten anything since breakfast. Looking at scrolls, reading about my clan's history and their jutsus. Naruto said honestly, that's what they were doing at the start, but then they came across some very useful information that would help them win the war and right some wrongs. Lady Tsunade, when is the Sandaime going to name you Godame? Shikamaru asked, interested. He had grown close to the female Hokage in his timeline and hoped he could do so in this timeline as well. Tomorrow, I'm not looking forward to wearing that hat. Tsunade huffed at the idea of wearing what her sensei wore. You'll look beautiful like always. Jiraiya assured her and grinned at the blush that covered his old teammate's face before he was punched in the cheek for that comment. Shizune giggled while Naruto full-out laughed at the two. Kakashi shook his head and Shikamaru smirked. Has Gigi told you if anyone made Chunin from the exams? Shikamaru asked, wondering if he would be promoted this time around as he didn't even get to fight. Actually, yes. Tsunade stood up from her chair and walked over to a glass cabinet where two scrolls were sitting. Naruto Uzumaki and Shikamaru Nara, for your achievements in the Forest of Death against Orochimaru and for the following events, you two have been promoted to the level of Chunin. Tsunade gave the two preteens a scroll each and the two blinked in surprise before they smiled. Yes. Finally. Naruto pumped his fist into the air as Shikamaru smirked, knowing that Naruto was ecstatic to moving up in the ranks, as he didn't like how he was a Genin for so long before he made the jump to Hokage. Thank you, Lady Tsunade. Shikamaru bowed his head. From what I heard, you two deserved this promotion. Tsunade waved it off. That was just my official first duty as Hokage. So Kashini-san, are you and Irika-sensei doing good? Naruto turned a smirk onto his sensei after a while, still happy about his Chunin promotion, and Kakashi froze at the question. You better be treating him right and not being such a big pervert around him. See, you both are my Nisans and I would hate for something to happen to you if Irika-sensei was hurt in any way. The temperature in the room slowly dropped down as the blonde spoke lightly to his sensei. Don't forget that Irika-sensei is loved by all his students, new and old, and wouldn't take kindly to him being hurt. Shikamaru said his part calmly. Don't forget what happened when Mizuki hurt Irika-sensei. Naruto said cheerfully. My Kage Bunshins and I beat him into the ground, and that was before I even made Genin and learned how to actually fight. Kakashi visibly swallowed hard at the words, and the other adults looked at Naruto and Shikamaru with respect for making the legendary Kopinin so nervous. I will do everything in my power to make sure Irika-sensei is happy and well. I would die for him. Kakashi swore, resolve glinting in his visible eye. That's all well and good, Kakashi-sensei, just... Naruto trailed off. For Shikamaru to pick right back up. Don't die for him, live for him. He would be hurt deeply if someone he cared so much for died. That goes for everyone, don't die for someone. Live for them. Naruto finished the thought. The room fell silent at the wisdom behind the words of the two Chunins. When did you two get so deep? Jiraiya tried to joke, but it fell flat at the sad, battle-worn and weary looks in the Chunin's eyes. Don't underestimate us, Ero-sennin. Naruto tapped the side of his nose before pushing his chair back as Shikamaru copied the movement. Thank you for dinner, but I should be getting home. Shikamaru bowed his head in respect. I'll walk you out. Naruto offered, and the two left the dining room, leaving a group of stunned adults behind them. There is something going on with those two, Tsunade said, lacing her fingers together and resting her chin on them. We should discuss this with Shikako-sama once you get settled into being Godame, Lady Tsunade. Kakashi said. I know he has noticed the change in the two as well, and he had spent more time around the two, and I believe he has a theory in the making. Good idea, Kakashi. Tsunade nodded before the room fell silent once more. Do you think your Kage Bunshins have reached the others yet? Shikamaru asked in a low voice as the two approached the front door. I think so. They should be traveling with them and reaching the rally point in 2 days. I will be around for Bachan being announced as Hokage, and then I will be off to meet them. Be careful while I'm gone. I intercepted a message from Itachi and Kisame saying that Haiden is on his own and is nearing Konoha. I didn't let the message carry on to Jiraiya. I figured you would want to deal with him personally? Naruto said in a whisper as he opened the door for Shikamaru. I do want to deal with him personally. I'll make sure I use the scroll we found. Good luck with meeting the others. Shikamaru smirked. Good luck with taking out Haiden. Again, just be careful, and I swear that if I feel your seal heat up I will be there in a flash and help you kick his ass. Naruto swore, gripping the Chunin's forearm as Shikamaru mirrored the movement, and the two leaned their foreheads against each other in a show of brotherly love and loyalty. It was a show of two men who stabilized their bonds in war. I'll keep that in mind, and see you tomorrow. Shikamaru released the blonde and left the Senju estate. Naruto leaned against the doorframe and watched him until he disappeared from sight. Hey Naruto-chan, we thought we would share some stories about Minato and Kushina tonight. What do you think? Jiraiya poked his head into the foyer. Really? Naruto's whole face lit up. Yeah, really. Come on, Naruto-chan. Jiraiya laughed and stepped back as Naruto ran past him into the living room where the others were waiting. He leapt onto the couch and made himself comfortable by laying his head on Kakashi's lap. The Xanbu looked panicked for a moment before he slowly relaxed and started to pet Naruto's blonde hair. The rest of the night was filled with stories about Minato and Kushina, about their days of being genin, how Kushina hated him for thinking she was a tomato and for thinking her a boy. Naruto listened intently. He had heard this story from his Kasan's Churka memory, but it was amazing to listen to all the other stories. The moon had risen high into the sky when Kakashi noticed that Naruto had stopped laughing and commenting. He looked down at his lap and saw the blonde had fallen asleep and was breathing evenly. He fell asleep. Kakashi said in a low tone. Take him to his bedroom, won't you, Kashi? Jiraiya smirked at the eyebrow twitch the nickname got as Kakashi cradled Naruto against his chest and walked out of the living room and up to Naruto's room. Kakashi smirked when he saw the hippo hat and stuffed frog on one side of the bed. Kakashi pulled back the covers of the bed with his foot and tucked the sleeping blonde into the large bed and watched amused as Naruto curled on his side, arms clutching the stuffed frog and nightcap tightly as a happy sigh passed his parted lips. Kakashi took a moment to really look at the blonde and was taken back at how young he looked, how young he really was. With everything he had gone through, he was still so young and innocent. Kakashi then swore to himself that he would protect his sensei's son, his Otuto, in every way he could. He would not only live for Irika, he would live for Naruto as well. / Why do I have to wear this arrow senin? Naruto whined, tugging at the traditional robe he was forced to wear for the ceremony where Tsunade was named Godame. He didn't remember doing this much the first time around. Because Naruto, you are a member of not only the Uzumaki clan, but also the Namikaze and Senju clans as well. Jiraiya looked uncomfortable in his own robe, but he was working past it. HMPF, just because I'm some prince of the Whirlpool Village, that shouldn't mean I should be forced to wear these things. Naruto huffed as he waved the much too long sleeves in front of his face. The robe was white with orange trim with the 3 clan symbols placed over the fabric. The Uzumaki was placed on his back, Senju was placed on his right arm, and the Namikaze was placed on the left. I think that's what being a prince means, Naruto-chan. Jiraiya chuckled and the two left the office to meet Tsunade, Hiruzen, and the Council of Elders. Naruto hissed lowly when he saw Danzo standing there and moved slightly to guard Jiraiya and Tsunade's flanks just in case. Are you ready to become Hokage, Tsunade? Hiruzen looked at Tsunade, who was wearing a Senju and Uzumaki clan robe and not looking happy about it at all. Hi sensei, I'm ready. Tsunade smirked at the 3 elders who made Naruto's life lonely and who knows what else they have done to this village. Follow me then, it's time to introduce the village to their new leader. Hiruzen opened a door that led to staircase inside of the Hokage monument where Tsunade would be introduced to the village from. It was a silent climb other than the grumbling from Naruto and Tsunade about climbing the steps in their long clan robes. Finally they reached the top and they exited out into the sunlight to see all of Konoha gathered in the streets below, all of them looking up at the monument expectantly. Naruto, using his heightened eyesight, he could easily spot Shikamaru standing with the Konoha 12, Akira and Akito standing behind the group with the families of the Konoha 12 and the Jonin senseis. Naruto smirked. His friends looked just as awkward as he did in their clan robes, so he didn't feel as horrible about wearing them now. Naruto stuck to Jiraiya's side while the Sandaime stepped forward and raised an arm to the crowd that cheered for him. My village, it has been a pleasure to be your Hokage for so long, and it has warmed my heart to see our village and its people flourish and come together under all types of trials. However, my time as your Hokage has come to a close. I am here to introduce you all to your new Hokage. I give you one of the legendary Sannin, a member of one of the founding clans of Konoha, my old student and your new Godame. Tsunade Senju. Hiruzen stepped to the side after making his speech as Tsunade stepped forward to a roar of applause as the Sandaime placed the hat onto his old student's head. Konoha! Tsunade raised her arms up to the crowd and they settled down. I am proud to become your new Hokage, and I can promise you that I will do everything in my power to help Konoha achieve greatness and to protect it to the best of my abilities from any threat. That got a roar of approval from the crowd, while Naruto noticed that the traitorous elders shift on their feet and exchange worried looks. Before I let you all go, I have something that needs to be discussed. Tsunade turned to look at Naruto, who blinked confused at her. Jiraiya pushed his godson forward slightly and Naruto stood beside Tsunade, who moved him in front of her and placed her hands on his shoulders. She growled when she heard some cries out of outrage at the demon being beside the new Hokage. Naruto spotted the Konoha 12, minus Sasuke of course, the Nara clan, Akira and Akito, along with the Jonin senseis, send evil glares at the nearby villagers or ninjas who spoke out against Naruto. My grandfather was Hashirama Senju, my granduncle was Tobirama Senju, and my grandmother was Mito Uzumaki. Naruto Uzumaki is my great-nephew and now a part of the Senju clan. I know how he was treated in this village, and I thought I would let you all know that if anything happens to him, I will not be acting as Genin when I come to visit those responsible, but as an overprotected great aunt with the strength of a legendary Sannin." Tsunade nicely threatened the whole village, and silence settled over the village. "Now that the speeches are out of the way, let's celebrate," Tsunade cried out, and that earned cheers from the crowd. Naruto was escorted away from the front and was positioned between Tsunade and Jiraiya as the trio walked past Danzo and the other elders. The Sandaime nodded at Tsunade and Jiraiya before he shushed Annette away. Naruto hoped he was going to talk to Sasuke about what really happened with his clan and his older brother. In the meantime, he had a trip to prepare for, and he hoped Shikamaru had been able to sneak away to adjust his trap for hiding. Hiruzen settled in the small house Sasuke had taken up in the abandoned Uchiha district. Sasuke came back into the living room with 2 cups of tea that he gave to the Sandaime. "My thanks, Sasuke." Hiruzen smiled kindly at Sasuke as he sipped the drink and waited until Sasuke was settled. "I'm sure you are wondering why I wish to talk to you." Hiruzen set his cup down and Sasuke followed suit. "Hi," Sasuke said with respect for the older man. He was on edge about why he was being talked to by the Sandaime. "I wish to wait until you were older to tell you this, but things have changed. Sasuke, I need to tell you the truth behind the night your clan was killed," Hiruzen stated grimly, and Sasuke froze. "What do you mean, the truth?" "Itachi killed our clan and I will kill him," Sasuke hissed out. "Please hold your judgment until the end. There are people who do not wish for this information to ever be released." Hiruzen sighed, his mind going to Danzo. "I will hear what you have to say," Sasuke decided in seeing the look in the Sandaime's eyes. It all started after the 9 tails attacked the village. The Uchiha Sharingan can control tailed beasts, and as I'm sure you can imagine, tension became high with the Uchihas in the village, and they were put under close surveillance and were placed back in this compound away from the rest of the village that looked at them with mistrust, not knowing what to believe. Hiruzen started his tale and saw Sasuke listening intently. Some Uchihas were still opposed to the Senju government and started to plan a coup d'état. "Your brother grew up during the Third Shinobi War and it turned him into a pacifist. He became an ANBU to help keep the peace, and the Uchihas forced him to spy on the rest of Konoha. When in fact Itachi was spying on the Uchihas for us, because your brother knew that the coup d'état would spark another war. That went against everything he wanted for the future. I need you to know that I was against the treatment the Uchihas were getting, and I very much wanted to settle things peacefully. However, not all people felt this way. Danzo convinced Itachi that slaughtering your clan was the only way to stop an oncoming war. He agreed on the single condition that you, his little brother, would be spared." Hiruzen said and stayed silent to gauge Sasuke's reaction to the news. Ni-san," Sasuke stammered out, his mind swirling with the new information. "I know this is a lot to take in, but your brother made the ultimate sacrifice for peace. As long as you were safe, he would have done anything to protect you and let you believe that you are part of a proud clan," the Sandaime said softly. "He did all of that to protect me?" Sasuke asked in a quiet voice. "He did, and you should know that no matter what he is doing now, he always has your well-being in mind. There is also something you need to know about the Sharingan," Hiruzen said slowly. "What about it?" Sasuke looked interested. "The truth behind the activation of the Sharingan," Hiruzen said with a heavy sigh and took a breath as Sasuke looked on expectantly. "When an Uchiha that has known love loses it, it turns into a much stronger hatred. Something inside the Uchiha's minds changes and it materializes in a physical form. The Sharingan was the result. It only furthered to lock in the Uchiha's hate into place, and with the lust for more power the Sharingan wielders become more closed off and hate-filled. Not even Itachi knew of the history behind the Uchiha's Kekkei Genkai. I was only told by my sensei the Nidaime Hokage when he named me his successor. When in fact, love makes the Sharingan much more powerful than it would be if the user was filled with hatred. I've seen it happen," Hiruzen explained softly. I think I need some time to process this, Sasuke said slowly. Please do not hold one man's action against the whole village, just focus on your brother, and I do hope you change your mind about wanting to kill him. It would be wise to keep this to yourself. No one must know any of this or Itachi's life could be in danger as well as both of ours. Hiruzen patted Sasuke's shoulder gently. The raven nodded slowly and kept his eyes down as the Sandaime left the house with a weary sigh. Naruto looked at the sun that was peeking over the horizon from the large window in his room. He decided to henge his clothes from Jiraiya into the clothes he wore while in Sage Mode. He switched out the summoning contract with another large scroll filled with anything and everything he would need for his mission. He quickly left one of his permanent Kage Bunshins in his place asleep on his bed while he slipped out of the window and leapt tree to tree in the backyard of the Senju estate. He had done some exploring when replacing the Hiratian seals around the village and found a way to leave the village that bypassed the ninjas on guard duty at the front gate. He silently slipped out of the village and then took off in the direction of where the others were gathering. It didn't take long, even with running on water, to reach his destination. Nami no Kuni, the land of waves. Naruto laughed aloud when he stopped in front of the great Naruto Uzumaki Bridge, and he leaned against the railing, as this was the rally point to meet the others. You weren't kidding when you told me you had a bridge named after you, Gaara commented as he dropped down from a stream of sand, the Bunshin of Naruto disappearing as the One-Tails Jinchuriki stood next to the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki. Naruto noticed that Gaara too had hinged his clothes to the ones he wore during the war. Why would I lie about something as awesome as this? Naruto smirked. I can't believe you are seriously assembling all the Jinchurikis in one place. This is asking for an attack to happen, Gaara commented as he eyed the small island that Naruto chose as a rally point. If they followed my Bunshin's instructions, then no one would even notice we are gone. Also, if the Bijus and my Bunshins followed my plan, the others should have their memories back and this shouldn't be too awkward of a meeting. Naruto laughed before he was grabbed in a hug from behind. Knowing the Churka signature, he didn't even bother to react. Naruto. Killer Bee laughed joyfully as he hugged the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki happily. Hey Bee, how you been doing? Naruto laughed as he let the taller man hug him before Naruto was dropped to the ground, and Gaara was also pulled into a hug. Even through the redhead protested something fierce. Since Gyuki and your Bunshin gave me my memories and powers back, I've been great, Bee said, his voice dropping as the three stood on the bridge waiting for the others. That's good, I'm glad you guys are back. Naruto smiled at the two Jinchurikis, who smiled back fondly. Us too, Naruto. Gaara smiled and rolled his teal eyes at something Shikaku must have said. Hey you guys! A female voice called out from above the group. The three looked up and smiled as a girl with short, spiky mint green hair with a takehitaite on her right arm and two wings on her back as she flew down to greet them, a puff of smoke by her back showing that the Naruto Bunshin had disappeared. Fu! Naruto smiled and yelped a bit when the girl let her wings disappear and she fell into the blonde's arms, hugging him. Naruto, Gaara, and Bee. I'm so glad you gave me my memories and powers back. I swear I'll do my best to protect Chome this time around. Fu smiled brightly and determination glinted in her orange eyes. I'm glad you think so too, Fu. Naruto smiled and patted the girl's head as she jumped up and landed on Killer Bee's broad shoulder and settled there, his hand coming to rest on her small waist to make sure she didn't fall off. I see I was not misled, you all truly are here, Utakata commented as the Bunshin puffed away as he joined the others on the bridge, his long brown hair still covering his left side of his face, leaving his single gold eye visible. Of course, like I would lie about this, Utakata. It's good to see you are well. Naruto held his hand out and the two shook their hands firmly before Utakata leaned on the opposite railing and started to blow bubbles, with Fu watching and giggling every so often as the bubbles gently floated around her. Naruto smiled when he spotted a small smile work its way onto Utakata's lips before it disappeared. Naruto, Gaara, Bee, Fu, Utakata. Yujido Ni of Kumo joined their group. The blonde accepted the fist bump Bee offered her and that earned her a smile, and Fu waved happily at the Two-Tails Jinchuriki. Yugi. Can you grow your nails to any length you want? Fu asked in awe, and the Jounin from Kumo smiled slightly and grew her fingernails to an extremely long length. Hi, I can. Yujido shook her head at the younger girl's wonder. Have you thought of painting them? You could get a really cool nickname if you did. Fu chatted happily with the blonde Jinchuriki. Hey Naruto. Kissed any more guys lately? Yagura, the yandere Mizukage, took off a large hat he had on his head to hide his face as he joined the others on the bridge. Hey Yagura, how many people think that you're still a little kid? Naruto shot back before the two laughed and exchanged a handshake and a half hug. Good to see you. The same for you all. Yagura smiled at the others on the bridge. Who are we waiting for still? Utakata questioned quietly. Han and Rashi, I'm hoping they arrive together as they are both from IWA. Naruto commented as he spread his churka out over the island and smiled as he turned to the left. You would be right then, Naruto Uzumaki. Rashi commented as he and Han approached the group of Jinchurikis, Han easily towering over his traveling partner. Good to see you too. Yagura said politely. Well, that's all of us. Naruto clapped his hands together with a huge smile. What now, Uzumaki? Han questioned as he looked around the area they were in. Now we have a Jinchuriki powwow and figure out what our next move will be. Naruto said cheerfully. We are definitely not calling this meeting by that horrible name. Kurama snorted and Naruto watched amused as the other Jinchurikis looked around confused at the new voice. That was Kurama, the good old Ninetails. Naruto answered the unanswered question. Why can we hear him then? Gaara asked. Because I'm just that amazing. Kurama huffed and this caused some laughter and eye rolls from the Jinchurikis on the bridge. Nah, I think it's because you each have some of my churka within your bodies since I fixed your seals and since you are all within distance of Kurama you can hear him at times. Naruto theorized. I knew being around Shikamaru would wear off on you. Gaara smirked. Well, Shikamaru didn't think you used to be so dramatic, so I must have worn off on you. Naruto commented back with his own smirk. Come on guys, I think I have the perfect spot for us to hang out. Naruto motioned the others to follow him. Soon the odd group of ninjas was walking down the main street of the island. People were smiling kindly to the visiting ninjas while some greeted them happily. Why is everyone so happy and nice here? Fu asked, keeping herself close to Naruto and Killer Bee as the group walked. I came here on a mission back in my Genin days and ever since we took out Gato it looks like it has been flourishing. Also not everywhere is like Taki Fu, we have to give everyone a fair chance. Naruto said wisely and Fu nodded. I still hate being part of Taki. Fu mumbled. Once this is all over we can work on bringing you into Konoha or wherever you want to go. Naruto assured the mint green-haired Jinchuriki. Naruto? A voice called out and the whole group turned, tense slightly before Naruto waved his hand to silently tell them to stand down. Inari? Naruto looked at the taller version of the little kid he and Team 7 had ran into their first time they came here. You came back. Inari rushed the blonde and hugged him happily. Naruto chuckled and hugged him back. Did you ever doubt me? Naruto teased and let the small boy climb onto his shoulders. Nope, are you going to come by the house? Mom would love to see you. Inari weaved his fingers into the blonde hair to get a better grip. Of course, in fact I was hoping to be able to use the same training area that my team used before. Naruto questioned. I'm sure Grandpa and Mom will let you guys use it, but we better ask her first. Inari tugged the blonde's hair to lead him the correct way towards his house. This place is peaceful, I wish I was the Kage here instead as it seems like less hassle. Yagura muttered to Gaara who nodded his agreement. Naruto? Is that you? Tsunami asked in pleasant surprise as she opened the door to see her son on the shoulders of Naruto and a ragtag group of ninjas from many different nations standing behind him looking around warily. Hi Tsunami-chan, It's good to see you again. I know this is short notice, but I was hoping my friends and I could use the same place my team we used last time? Naruto asked hopefully. Oh, of course you can, Naruto. Just make sure you and your friends are back here in time for dinner though. Tsunami pointed her wooden spoon in the blonde's face. The blonde flinched back as the spoon brought memories of Yoshino whacked his and Shikamaru's hands whenever they got too close to one of the pots while cooking dinner. You're the best, Tsunami-chan. Naruto smiled cheerfully at the woman and gently let Inari down. The little kid pouted a bit, but waved at the other ninjas before he scurried into the house. I know, just don't work yourselves too hard. Tsunami told the group, who all shifted unsure how to respond to the warning. We won't, thank you. Naruto said for the group and herded them away and into the forested area where the trees still had the kunai marks from his and Sasuke's tree climbing training. This is a very peaceful and beautiful place, Yujito commented as they stopped by a small sparkling lake. I thought it would be perfect for us to mediate, get to know each other and try out a new jutsu I found in my clan's library. Naruto smirked. What kind of jutsu? Han questioned interested. An Uzumaki clan jutsu, the Nine Tails has been housed inside an Uzumaki since the founding of Konoha. Naruto explained. Why was your clan the only bloodline that can be Jinchurikis? Rashi raised an eyebrow. Because of these. Naruto said simply and brought his arms up and his golden churka chains extended from his body and weaved their way between the Jinchurikis, not touching any of them. Whoa, are these made out of churka? Fu questioned amazed, touching one gingerly. They can restrain tailed beasts and pretty much anything else as well. Uzumakis also have large churka reserves and sealing is in their blood, so that combined with the churka chains it makes the Uzumaki bloodline perfect to house a tailed beast. Naruto explained. That makes sense. Utakata said quietly. So, I found a jutsu in my clan's library that will make this meeting a lot easier for us all, and if you want I can teach each of you the jutsu as it is surprisingly rather easy. Naruto offered. We shall see what the jutsu does first. Yujito commented and the others agreed with her words. Alright, here we go. Kuchiyos, Oju, Amba, Summoning, Tailed Beast, Kurama. Naruto made the needed hand seals after biting his thumb and he slammed his palm onto the ground. The group watched as a small puff of smoke appeared and sitting there was a small nine-tailed fox with an unimpressed look on his red furry face. What the hell, brat? If you were going to use the jutsu you could at least have put more churka into it so I wasn't the size of a cat. Kurama growled as he flared his 9 foxtails annoyed. Sorry Kurama, I just thought it wouldn't be so obvious where we all were if there wasn't a towering 9-tailed fox that is supposed to be sealed within me appearing in the middle of the forest on a random island. Naruto shot back. How did you do that? Can you show me? Be asked excited at the idea of bringing out the 8 tails. It's like a summoning jutsu. However, since the tailed beasts are sealed within us we don't need to sign any contract and just add in the tailed beast's name at the end. The more churka put into the jutsu the larger the bijus will become. Naruto explained and grinned. Ah yeah. Kuchiyos, Oju, Gyuki, Summoning, Tailed Beast, Gyuki. Killer Bee did the same thing as Naruto and a small version of the 8 tails appeared and smiled up at Bee. Soon each Jinchuriki had a chibi version of their tailed beast beside them. Fu was cuddling Chome happy that her best friend was now tangible. Shikaku was on Gaara's shoulder, his giant tail wrapped gently around Gaara's neck as he rested his head on top of Gaara's red hair. Yujito was petting Matatabi's blue fur with her 2 tails twitching happily. Yagura had Isabu resting by his hand while Rashi and Son Goku were both smoking calmly. Kokoa was perched on Han's armored knee. Saiken and Utakata were blowing bubbles together in a silent competition. Bee and Gyuki were wrestling, Bee holding his own against the sucker-covered tails of his partner, and Naruto watched the others with a pleased smile on his lips as Kurama was curled up on his lap, his tails wrapped around himself and Naruto's waist. Good idea, huh? Naruto asked Kurama smugly. It wasn't horrible. Kurama grumbled. Oh Kurama, you always say the nicest things. Naruto fluttered his eyelashes only to be bit on the hand by the irate fox. That got a snort from B, Gyuki, Shikaku, Gaara, and Yagura. Alright, now I think we need to talk about the Akatsuki and how we are going to deal with them this time around. As we speak, Shikamaru should be taking out Haiden like he did in our future. Naruto said in his Kage voice. Good, bastard deserves to be taken out. Yujido grinned to match the Two-Tails grin at hearing the news of Haiden. The next while was spent with Naruto outlining his and Shikamaru's plan, and everyone was on board with the ideas. So, until I send for you all, I think it would be safest to leave your bunchins in place and all of you should join me on Shimagame Island Turtle. Naruto stated. That's a solid plan. It is a safe place for all of us, and while we are there we can achieve the same level of partnership and power you two have achieved with Gyuki and Kurama. Yagura agreed, gesturing to Naruto and Killer Bee. It would give us an advantage if we were even close to being on par with you two. Gaara added, and the others agreed, Bee beaming at the idea of having more of his siblings at what he considered his home. I'll talk A into letting us use it as a safe haven. Bee said, determined. What about you, Naruto? Fu looked at the blonde. I have to stay out here and work on taking out the Akatsuki members, amongst other things. Naruto smiled reassuringly at the girl. Okay. Just be careful. Fu nuzzled her face into Chome, who buzzed his wings soothingly. I will, I promise. Naruto swore. B, take this seal and placed it in your house on the island. The blonde gave Killer Bee a Horatian sealed kunai. B, understanding what it was, took it without question with a silent promise to place it in his house. So overall I think yesterday went well. Naruto commented from his place in Shikamaru's room, a shogi board between the two. I'm surprised at how easy it was to take down Haiden. I had expected a harder fight. Shikamaru said as he made his move against the blonde. You knew all his tricks and how to defeat him without having to get close to him, plus you are a genius, Shika. Naruto pointed out as he made his counter move. The others should be with B on the island by now minus Gaara, as he said he had things to take care of back in Suna first. Then I think we need to talk about our next move. Jiraiya might be bringing up your 3-year training mission soon. Shikamaru glanced up at the blonde who was leaning against the wall behind him. I'm not sure we will be doing that this time around. He seems really happy with Bachan, Kakashi-sensei and myself at the Senju estate. There is no immediate threat like last time, and we have 2 inside men on the Akatsuki, and you just took out one of their members. Naruto commented. Even if he brought it up, I don't think I would agree to leave the village for that long of a time. I was gone for 3 years last time and I missed a lot of time with my precious people. I know everything and more than what Erosenin could teach me, so there would be no point in leaving. However, I think that we still need to take a little trip, hopefully not a 3-year-long one. Shikamaru moved to counter Naruto's attack. Yeah, I know, we can use Akira and Aikido to get us out of the village and then we will proceed from there. Naruto sighed. The things we do to keep a war from starting. I know, we are going to have to do a lot of explaining when we get back, it's going to be so troublesome. Shikamaru sighed. Are you still set on become Hokage after we achieve our objective? Once we do, we won't know any events that could come to pass, so we don't need to fight like before. I'm not sure, to be honest. I could wash my hands of it saying been there, done that. Which is true, but I was thrusted into it because the other Kages were killed and I was the only suitable choice. Naruto said in a low and serious voice. We will cross that bridge when we get there, just know that whatever you choose to do I will follow you. Shikamaru smiled and held his fist up in honor of Killer Bee. I would be lost without you at my side, Shika. Naruto chuckled as he bumped his fist against the Nara's. Of course you would be, now prepare to lose. Shikamaru smirked as he made his last move, and the reaction was Naruto yelling out as he fell to the side dramatically. // Sasuke. Hiruzen blinked in surprise at the Uchiha that was standing on his doorstep. I've thought about what you said and I've reached a decision, Sasuke said, looking up from under his bangs. The Sandaime watched the preteen silently as he seemed to steady himself for what he was about to say. Now I think we can do whatever we want until Inari comes to get us for dinner, just make sure not to freak him out when he comes to get us, Naruto ordered before he closed his eyes and focused alongside Kurama. He knew he couldn't reach Sage Mode just yet, but he could still connect to his nature chakra, and that alongside the Shodai's necklace pulsing chakra soothingly. The blonde fell into a relaxed state. Shikamaru was following Haiden, who was approaching the same area he had been found in during their second encounter during his future timeline. Haiden had no idea that Shikamaru was trailing him. The Nara didn't make ANBU commander for nothing. Shikamaru was glad he wasn't impulsive, otherwise he would have attacked Haiden the moment he saw him. Haiden hit the target point and Shikamaru sent out his shadow, easily catching the Jashin follower as he dropped down from the tree. What the fuck? Why can't I move? Haiden shouted. Shikamaru had forgotten how much Haiden swore. That would be my doing. Come on Haiden, we have places to be. Shikamaru smirked and took off running towards the trap in the Nara forest. Haiden shouted swear words at the Nara as he forced to follow the Chunin. Shikamaru stopped in the perfect spot and turned to face Haiden, who was still throwing out swear words as he eyed the wires covered in paper bombs surrounding the clearing in the forest. Who the hell are you? Haiden shouted angrily. The one who ends you, Shikamaru stated with a smirk as he stretched out his shadows to attach to the wires and to Haiden's limbs. Ha! I'm immortal, I can never die. Haiden laughed insanely. That may be true, but that doesn't mean I can't end you. Shikamaru raised an arm. Kagyo's no jutsu, shadow pull jutsu. Shikamaru watched as the paper bomb-covered wires wrapped around Haiden's body. Shikamaru pulled out his tanto and threw it at the Nara clan symbol. What was that? Haiden shouted before a crack came from the clan symbol and the ground fell away to reveal the trap hole and the awaiting ceiling scroll below his feet. Shikamaru stayed silent as he pulled out a cheap silver lighter and he flicked it open and watched with sorrow-filled eyes as he flicked it a few times until the flame lit up. What are you going to do with that? Haiden asked, panicked. See, I can't let you run away. Surprisingly, I need you for a plan later on. Shikamaru raised the lit lighter up. Goodbye Haiden, you will never kill again. With those words Shikamaru tossed the lighter and watched as Haiden went up in flames as he screamed out in either pain or pleasure. Shikamaru wasn't sure with this nutcase. Shikamaru cut a wire and watched as Haiden dropped down into the hole and the scroll sealed his smoldering body away. Shikamaru waited a few moments before he retrieved the scroll, placing it in his pack, feeling very content. Haiden was gone and he would never kill Asuma or anyone else ever again. Shikamaru felt like a weight was lifted off his shoulders as he walked away from the clearing and back to his house. He was heading straight towards his room, but was sidetracked when Asuma appeared in front of him with an easygoing smile, and suddenly it was all worth it. There you are, Shikamaru. I wanted to come by and congratulate you for making Chunin alongside Naruto. I'm really proud of you, you know. Asuma scratched his head sheepishly. Asuma. Shikamaru breathed out before he shoved his hands into his pockets. Do you want to play a game of shogi or watch some clouds together? I'd like that, Shikamaru. Asuma smiled and the two walked out to the porch and started to play a game of shogi. Let me tell you about the king, Shikamaru. Asuma looked up at his student. Shikamaru felt a smile come across his lips and listened to his sensei tell him about the king and the will of fire. I've decided I just want my Nissan back. I want to get strong enough so he won't have to put himself in danger to protect me. I need to get stronger so he can come home and we can be a family again. I will not fault all of Konoha for the mistake of one madman as long as he is dealt with, Sasuke said with steel in his voice and in his eyes. I'm glad that is your decision, Sasuke. If you would like, as I'm no longer Hokage, I have some free time on my hands and I would be honored if you would become my student. Hiruzen held up a hand in an agreement. Sasuke, looking stunned, but pleased by the outcome of the talk with the sandaime, took the older man's hand and shook it firmly and with conviction in his onyx eyes. "I will train my hardest," Sasuke said firmly. "That's all I can ask for. Now if you want to wait a moment for this old man to get changed, we could start today?" Hiruzen had to bite back a laugh at the excited puppy look Sasuke was sporting. "I can wait," Sasuke said, trying to play it off coolly much to his new mentor's amusement. // "Are you too sure you want to do this?" Tsunade asked the red-headed twins in front of her, the Hokage hat sitting on the back corner of her chair. On the desk in front of her was a file outlining a training mission and then 2 personal files for Shikamaru Nara and Naruto Uzumaki. These two with enough training can change everything horrible we have seen in our visions," Akira stated firmly as he and Akito stood before the Godame, putting the next part of the plan into motion. "If you are completely sure, then as Hokage I approve of this training mission. You still have to get past all the people who are extremely protective of Naruto and Shikamaru. If you can survive that, then you are worthy to bring the two out of the village." Tsunade chuckled as the 2 redheads paled at the task set for them. Getting the approval of parents/guardians/pseudo-siblings. It would be by far the hardest mission the two would ever have to face in any lifetime. "Lady Hokage." Akito bowed his head before the two left the office. "We are doomed," Akira stated simply, pausing to bang his head against the wall across from the door. "Who do you want to visit first?" Akito asked, dragging his twin out of tower. "Well, Naruto and Shikamaru are still at the Nara compound, so we should visit them last. I guess we need to face Jiraiya, Kakashi and Iruka first." Akira shuddered at the mere idea as they adjusted their course to head towards the Senju estate where the 3 Churka signatures were located at the moment. "I don't think we can do this without making them suspect." Akira trailed off and went to grab Akito by the back of his cloak to pull him away from the front door, but Akito reached out and banged on the door with a smirk at Akira. "We managed to get Lady Tsunade's permission. I think we can handle this." Akito scolded as Jiraiya opened the door. He grinned at the 2 redheads. "Akira, Akito. Nice to see you both." Jiraiya boomed and escorted the 2 inside the house and into the foyer where Kakashi and a blushing Iruka entered a few moments after. "You as well." Akira nodded at Jiraiya and smiled happily at how well the Sannin looked nowadays. "We are to assume there is a reason behind your visit?" Kakashi spoke up, eyeing the 2 with his one visible eye. "You are correct, Kakashi. We have already spoken with Lady Hokage about this, but we wanted to get your approval as well." Akito spoke up, both the redheads suddenly looking serious about what they are about to say. "We were approved for a training mission. The 2 of us will be training Naruto Uzumaki and Shikamaru Nara for the foreseeable future," Akira said, his voice steady and serious. The 2 waited for the reactions from the 3 ninjas in front of them and they were not disappointed. Jiraiya's jaw dropped before he snapped it shut and studied the 2 with a serious look in his eyes. Kakashi's visible eye narrowed and you could faintly make out the stern line of his lips being pressed together from underneath his mask, while Iruka just looked at the 2 redheads with wide eyes as he tried to understand. "Why do you want to take them on a training mission?" Kakashi asked. "What do you think you could teach them that they could not learn here? We have foreseen a war. Naruto and Shikamaru are pivotal characters in it, but they are uneducated and are not properly prepared for the horrors of what the enemy will unleash. We can give them the training they need to win this war before it takes its toll on the 5 nations." Akito spoke up, having foreseen this type of questioning from the 3 in front of them. "I was considering taking Naruto on a training trip. Why don't I come along?" Jiraiya offered. "No, you are needed here in Konoha. You are in the middle of rebuilding a life here, and after all, the ninjas here need someone powerful to teach them how to fight and survive properly." Akira shook his head, almost a bit desperately. He wanted his godfather nowhere near the battles that he knew were going to be taking place during the training mission. "You will protect them?" Iruka asked, eyes cold and hard as he studied the twins. The two gulped silently, reminded why no one messed with Irika-sensei. We will lay down our own lives to protect them, Akira said firmly. We will also fight to make sure we do not die so we can keep protecting them. Akito finished and Irika nodded sharply, sitting back in his seat. Can't argue with that. Kakashi scratched his chin, giving his own consent. Naruto and Shikamaru will be in contact with us. If I do not hear anything from them after a month, I will leave the village and find you, Jiraiya promised. Fair enough, thank you. Akira inclined his head and the duo stood up, giving the group their goodbyes. Going to talk to the Naras now? Good luck. Jiraiya waved cheerfully at the two before he shut the door on the slightly terrified look on the twins' faces. That went better than expected, Akira mused as the two leapt roof to roof towards the Nara compound. This one will be harder than that, Akito grumbled, dread in his words. / What? Akira blinked in shock at Shikaku and Yoshino Nara. We will allow you two to take Shika and Naruto out on the training mission of yours. Yoshino repeated her husband's words, amused at the looks on the redheads' faces. Just protect them and teach them well, Shikaku stated as he got up from his kneeling position and went over to the sliding door. He slid it open and smirked when Naruto and Shikamaru, who was dragged by the blonde, came tumbling in. Ah ha ha. Naruto rubbed his neck sheepishly while Shikamaru looked impassive about being caught. Pack your bags, boys, you are going on a training mission with Akira and Akito. Be on your best behavior and learn everything you can, Shikaku said, and the two newly minted chunins grinned at the occupants of the room before they scurried away to their, basically, shared room to start to pack. Keep our boys safe, that is all we're asking. Yoshino stood up gracefully, moving to her husband's side. We swear we will, the twins said in unison, gaining two nods of approval before the heads of the Nara clan left the room. Well, that was easier than anyone could have predicted. Akira trailed off as the two got to their feet and headed towards the entrance of the compound. Akito agreed, eyebrows furrowed in thought as the two walked towards their apartment. Do you think they are onto us? Akira asked in a very low tone of voice. We won't know until much later. Akito sighed, eyebrows unfurrowing. We will worry about that later. Right now we have some last-minute tweaks to make to our plans before we leave tomorrow morning. Akira waved his hand as the two climbed the steps to their apartment. / TCH, why do you guys get to go on a training mission with Akira and Akito-senseis? Kiba huffed, crossing his arms, his eyes conveying the sadness that he is actually feeling about his two friends leaving the village for an unknown amount of time. Because we are just awesome like that, don't be jealous, Naruto teased Kiba as he gave a farewell scratch between the ears to Akamaru. Shikamaru and Naruto were at the front gates surrounded by their friends and family. Both were wearing standard shinobi outfits, as were Akira and Akito. They wore black shinobi pants, sandals, long-sleeved shirts, green flak jacket and forehead protectors on their respective parts of their bodies. This is going to be so troublesome, Shikamaru sighed as he adjusted his backpack as he smiled at Team 10. Choji was making short work of the bag of chips he held while Ino had one of her blue eyes covered with her blonde bangs completely and the other eye looked glassy, while Asuma stood behind the two, his eyes looking wise and full of worry and sadness as he stared at his student. I'll be alright, no need to worry. We'll be back soon and I'll teach you guys some of the stuff we learned. Look after them, would you, Asuma-sensei? Shikamaru promised and was surprised when Ino threw herself into his arms for a hug. Idiot, don't you dare die, she whispered in his ear before she backed off to stand by Choji and Asuma once more. Like I would, that would be bothersome. Shikamaru smirked and exchanged a brief hug with Choji before Asuma placed his hand on Shikamaru's head. Be careful, kid, when you get back we'll have to spar. Asuma smiled, no cigarette between his lips for once. Then you better keep training, old man. Shikamaru teased and Asuma just laughed joyfully, the sound making Shikamaru's heart hurt a bit before he backed off to be fussed over by his father and mother. Naruto was in a similar position between his godfather, surrogate older brother and great aunt. He was just glowing with happiness while the rest of his team, Team 8 and Team Guy, stood nearby. "We'll be just fine, Bachan, Arosenin, Kashi and I," Naruto assured the three that were by him. "Somehow that doesn't reassure me at all," Jiraiya muttered, only for Naruto's smile to grow larger. "Naruto, when you get back I'll be stronger, I promise," Sakura said with determination shining in her eyes, and Tsunade gave a small smile at the sight of her student. "I know you will be, Sakura-chan. We'll be an unstoppable team." Naruto surprised her by pulling her into a tight hug. She surprised everyone else by hugging him back. "Don't slack off on your training, dope. We'll have a fight to see who improved the most when you get back." Sasuke stepped forward, Hiruzen standing behind his student puffing on his pipe. "Don't be too disappointed when I cream you with some unstoppable jutsu I learned, team." Naruto smirked back at the Uchiha. The two exchanged firm yet friendly handshakes. "I'll bring back Itachi to the village for you, Sasuke," Naruto thought determinedly. "Gee, good luck in Naruto-kun," Hinata said, fiddling with her fingers as she smiled shyly at her crush. "Thanks, Hina-chan, don't worry about me. Hey, when I get back, do you want to spar and go for dinner or something?" Naruto asked in a soft voice and watched as her face turned a bright red and she couldn't speak, but she nodded rapidly before fainting into Kurenai's shoulder. The Jonin just smiled at Naruto, wishing him luck, before Naruto turned to Shino and gave the usually quiet ninja thumbs up and was rewarded with a nod. "Grow strong, Naruto." Lee gave his blonde friend thumbs up. "You better learn how to use that katana. I want a match when you come back." Tenten pointed to Raijin that was attached to Naruto's hip. "You're on." Naruto grinned at her and Neji stepped forward holding out his hand. "We'll have a proper spar when I get back. I'm looking forward to see how you go forward on your own path," Naruto stated, shaking Neji's hand, gaining a small smile from the Hyuga while Guy just cried on about the beauty of youth and friendship. While Naruto was saying goodbye to the teams, Shikamaru did the exact same thing, and the two stood beside Akira and Akito as the ninjas on duty opened the gate for them to leave the village. The group waved at the gathered group as the people staying behind waved and shouted their goodbyes at them. "Everything is beginning," Shikamaru muttered as the four sped off into the surrounding forest outside the gates. "When we come back so much will have changed. I hope they are going to be ready," Naruto muttered. "Think we'll survive this time around?" Naruto asked quietly as the two moved farther away from their home. "If we don't, we're taking them with us," Shikamaru said seriously. "You know it." The two exchanged fist bumps and fell into companionable silence. When they were far enough away from the village, the four stopped in a clearing. The Chunins made hand signs and two permanent bunchins of themselves appeared by Akira and Akito. "Go off and have a training mission. Remember to write home, don't get caught, and destroy all of the remaining snake nests," Naruto ordered the bunchins in his Kage voice. The four nodded and leapt off in the direction of the closet village. "Time to change. We are too recognizable in these outfits. Besides, we are going to win a war before it begins. We need to look good." Naruto whined and Shikamaru rolled his eyes fondly before the two focused and used an Uzumaki clan henge to change to their own preferences. They both were 16 once more. They knew what they were about to do could not be done as 13-year-olds, and the Uzumaki henge brought the two up to the age they were most powerful at. Naruto was wearing his black and dull orange jumpsuit with black sandals, his forehead protector under his blonde bangs with the black ties flowing down his back. He had a short-sleeved red cloak with black flames and the Raijin attached across his lower back where most Chunins had their tantos. He had the orange bandages around his ankles and wrists to help stabilize his churka chains. Shikamaru had his green outlined mesh showing from underneath his black shinobi pants between the cuff and his black sandals. He had Asuma's trench knives attached to his belt alongside the numerous pockets that lined his waist. Instead of a green flak jacket, he wore white-collared, gray sleeveless hooded cloak that flared out behind him like Naruto's did. He had his own katana slung across his back and black armored fingerless gloves that stopped at his elbows, and under the cloak he had a plain sleeveless black crew-cut shirt. Naruto was sitting cross-legged in the shade of a large tree, focusing on the energy around him, doing his best to pinpoint the location of Nagato, Konan, and the Path of Pain version of Yahiko. Shikamaru was perched on a tree branch high above Naruto, keeping watch on the area. His eyes were directed upwards when he felt a spike of familiar churka and the following stream of sand that was headed towards him. Shikamaru smirked and held his hand up, letting the sand swirl around his wrist and forearm, letting two things settle in his open palm. The sand attached to Shikamaru's skin while the Chunin looked at the two scrolls in his hand. One of the scrolls had the name Sasori and the other one had Deidara. Shikamaru felt his lips turn up into a grin as things were moving along nicely. "Tell Gaara, thanks, and to await for our call for the final battle. Until then stay safe and hidden." Shikamaru told the sand that shifted before it slid off his skin and flew in the direction it came. "Got them, huh? Same place as last time." Naruto called from his spot as he came out of his trance, making Shikamaru drop down next to the blonde. "That makes things easier. Oh, and Gaara dropped off a present for us." Shikamaru showed Naruto the two scrolls that had the sealed bodies of Sasori and Deidara in them. "Only a few more," Naruto murmured as Shikamaru put the scroll next to the one containing Hiden. "How are you going to get Nagato to listen to you this time around?" Shikamaru asked as the two leapt tree to tree towards the location Naruto discovered. "Same as last time, he'll listen to me. He's an Uzumaki, all he wants is peace and he believes in Erosenin's ideal of peace," Naruto said. "Do you want me to come in with you?" Shikamaru asked quietly as the two looked at the tree that was housing their targets, masterfully created by Konan. "Yeah, I think it's a good idea," Naruto said after a moment of thought. "I'll let you do most of the talking though." Shikamaru smirked and Naruto rolled his eyes. "Let's do this," Naruto said seriously and stepped forward and passed through the barrier easily, followed by Shikamaru, both of them holding their hands up in the worldwide gesture of surrender. "Who are you? How did you find us?" A female voice called out as paper swirled to show Konan, her usual paper flower in her hair. "We are not here to fight. We just want to talk. I'm Naruto Uzumaki and this is Shikamaru Nara. We mean you and Nagato no harm, we just wish to talk," Naruto said soothingly, and Pain appeared in front of the duo looking at the two of them intently. "What do you wish to talk about, Leaf Shinobi?" Yahiko spoke, eyes narrowing. "It's just a bit unnerving to be talking to Yahiko's body. Can the real you come out to talk, Nagato?" Naruto rubbed his head awkwardly. Konan blinked in surprise. Pain inspected the duo once more before he swiftly moved to the side, and a swirl of paper exposed Nagato to the two, his red hair limp and covering half his face, his visible eyes staring them down with curiosity. "Nice to see you, cousin." Naruto smiled cheerfully at Nagato. "Who are you, Naruto Uzumaki?" Nagato rasped out. "Good question," Naruto muttered to himself and Shikamaru, who just nudged the blonde and raised his eyebrows. "We both truly want the same thing. We both want this cycle of hatred to end and for the world to be at peace." Naruto said, his feelings on the matter seeping into his tone of voice. "The ninja world is ruled by hatred. There is no such thing as real peace. It's impossible as long as we're living in this accursed world." Nagato shouted at the blonde, his form trembling. "Then I will break the cycle. If there's such a thing as peace, I will find it. I won't give up." Naruto quoted the legend of the Gusty Ninja, the book Jiraiya dedicated to Nagato, who inspired him. Nagato looked shocked at the words from Naruto as he remembered a younger version of himself telling Jiraiya the exact same words in the past with the same amount of determination. "My name is Naruto, so my name is a precious memento of him. I can't just give up and stomp on this memento. I'll make sure there's peace for Amigakure too. Believe in me." Naruto clenched his fists in front of his torso, his blue eyes on fire as he spoke with passion. I don't know if I can believe in what Jiraiya believed in or in the man himself, but you have chosen a different path than myself, and in you I can see a better future, so I will believe in you, Naruto Uzumaki. Nagato lowered his head after a few moments of thought at what the blonde had said. Thank you, Nagato, but we need your help. I know you both want peace, you want a life together, all three of you, and you all do miss Jiraiya. Nagato, you are an Uzumaki like me, we are family, please help us. Naruto stepped forward, Shikamaru guarding his flank out of reflex. We will help you, Naruto Uzumaki. My cousin, now your plan? Nagato swore his loyalty to Naruto, and Konan agreed just as quickly. Naruto and Shikamaru exchanged victorious grins before they explained their plan completely to the two, and by the end of it Konan was hiding a grin and a weak smile was crossing Nagato's face. So you don't mind lending one of your paths of pain? Shikamaru asked, and Nagato slowly shook his head. Not at all. Nagato said with a smile at the thought of who he was giving that path up for. What is the next step? Konan asked seriously. Well, first we have to hunt down Kakuzu, but from what I'm sensing he's close by. Naruto said after closing his eyes briefly. Do you think you can move from here? Shikamaru eyed the contraption Nagato was attached to. I'm very weak, I will be able to control my paths, but nothing more. Nagato admitted, hating his own weakness. Ah, yeah, I have an idea about that. I found this kenjutsu in the clan library Bachan has, I think this may be of assistance. Naruto pulled out another scroll. Do it! Nagato nodded his head, and Naruto knelt in front of Nagato and placed the scroll between his lips and made the hand sign of the ram. He closed his eyes and focused his churka, letting it curl around him and Nagato. Uzumaki Kenjutsu, Bodhi Shufuku, Body Restoration. Naruto bit down on the scroll with all his jaw strength, and his churka blinded Konan and Shikamaru briefly. When the two looked back they saw Naruto standing on his feet looking extremely pleased with himself. In front of him was a man with red hair covering his face, the same age as Konan, and had black piercings on either side of his chin leading up to his lips. His skin was no longer wrinkled and old, he was young and at his prime. Nagato? Konan edged closer to her best friend worriedly as Nagato examined of his hand and his body. I can't believe this. Nagato spoke, even his voice sounded younger and less weighed down. Believe it, cuz. Naruto beamed. Our clan are utter geniuses, trust me on this. How long will this last? Nagato curled his fingers and toes happily. For as long as you live, like I said, utter geniuses, OH. Here, tie these on and focus your churka into them. I think you will like what happens next. Naruto grinned and helped Nagato wrap red as his hair bandages on Nagato's wrists. Naruto stepped back as Nagato raised his right hand and watched amazed as golden churka chains erupted from him and hit the wall in front of him. Uzumaki clan bloodline, I guess. Naruto flicked his wrists, showing his own orange-red chains. This is impressive. Well, shall we go win a war? Nagato let his chains disappear and he smiled at Konan, who beamed back, and Shikamaru laughed as Naruto jumped for joy. Konan let the paper tree disappear around them, and with a nod from Naruto and the five were off towards Kakuzu's churka. / Everyone know the plan? Naruto whispered to the group around him, each determined in their own way as Kakuzu walked down the path in the forest. Hi. The group nodded before darting off to take up their positions. Moments passed, the only sound was the wind rustling the leaves and birds chirping as they took flight. Suddenly dirt-colored paper wrapped themselves tightly around Kakuzu's feet, encasing them completely. At the same time golden chains shot out and wrapped around Kakuzu's arms, holding them out to the side. Kakuzu's green eyes narrowed before the high-pitched sound of wind filled the area. Naruto leapt into view holding a Rasen Shuriken in his right palm, and he rushed towards Kakuzu, pouring more churka into the attack. Futon, Rasen Shuriken! Naruto shouted as he slammed the ball of churka into Kakuzu's chest, pleased as his heightened hearing distinctly heard 3 heartbeats stop. He darted out of the way as Shikamaru appeared from his spot behind Kakuzu with his own version of the Rasengan in his right hand. The blue swirling churka was offset by black shadows. Kaige, Rasengan. He slammed the ball of churka into Kakuzu's back, killing the last 2 hearts. Shikamaru kicked the dead body towards Naruto as Nagato and Konan let Kakuzu go, and he was sealed into the scroll Naruto had at the ready. Simple and effective. Naruto grinned as he put the scroll with the other 3. The next step then? Konan asked, interlacing her fingers with Nagato, looking more at peace than she had ever looked. Time to reunite with a certain Uchiha. Shikamaru nodded his head and the group leapt into the trees once more, following Naruto's sensory abilities. / Yo Itachi, how ya doing there, fishy? Naruto greeted as he and Shikamaru dropped down a few feet in front of Itachi and Kisame, who were resting by a stream. Naruto Uzumaki and Shikamaru Nara, I presume. Itachi looked at the 2 new arrivals, not surprised at their entrance. Kisame grunted and gave Naruto the stink eye, still feeling sore about the whole Churka Chains incident and fishy nickname. Is it time? Itachi asked as he rose up from his spot perched on a flat rock by the stream. Yes, Kisame, you can opt out now if you want to, or you can help us. Naruto turned serious as he looked at the blue-skinned man. I'm done, I'm not gonna fight a war. I'll stay out of your way and come to annoy Itachi now and then after this is all over. Kisame decided, and Itachi nodded his head, accepting his partner's decision. Goodbye, Kisame. Itachi said, and Kisame just laughed before he walked across the surface of the stream and took off in the opposite direction of the group. Welcome to the group, Itachi. Naruto grinned as Nagato, Konan, and Yahiko came into view. You are a mystery, Naruto Uzumaki. Itachi sighed, taking in the group, and at Shikamaru's request they hinged their clothes to plain shinobi clothing, and the red clouds on their cloaks disappeared, signaling they were no longer Akatsuki. Take your time to unravel me, Naruto said cheekily, pleased that Itachi wasn't questioning his sudden jump in age. In the meantime, we have some people to bring back. Konan-chan, can you create a shrine for us? Shikamaru asked, turning to the blue-haired AIM ninja. She nodded and raised her arms in front of her. Her hands turned to paper and it swirled around the group and took the form of a shrine. Shikamaru nodded his thanks, and together he and Naruto went to work on getting everything ready. Are you sure you want to be the one to do this? You know I can take your place. Naruto asked Shikamaru as the Nara readied himself for what was to come. I'm sure, Naruto, in case this goes wrong you need to be able to fight on. Promise me that you will save this world. Shikamaru looked Naruto in the eyes determinedly. Naruto swallowed hard. I promise, just don't let anything go wrong. I need my brother by my side. Naruto and Shikamaru leaned their foreheads against each other's while they clutched at the other's forearm before Naruto backed up to join Itachi, Konan, and Nagato. Shikamaru knelt down by Fujin circles that held the scrolls of Sasori, Deidara, Haiden, Kakuzu, and one path of pain, while Yahiko's body stood nearby in another circle with different symbols. The Nara let out a breath of air and nodded at Nagato. Kuchios, Edo Tensei. Shikamaru shouted. Kuchios, Edo Rinna Tensei. Nagato shouted at the same time as Shikamaru, and the shrine Konan created was engulfed with churka and whipping winds as the floor shook and spilt apart. Naruto threw his arms up in front of his face, squinting his eyes at the place Shikamaru had been standing, trying to use his heightened senses to see what was happening. A Jashin user as a sacrifice for Minato Namikaze, I am impressed, Shikamaru Nara. I will grant your jutsu success. A voice echoed inside of Shikamaru's head. It must have been the Shinigami, and sure enough the scrolls and path of pain disappeared, leaving 5 people standing in their places. The wind and churka died down to show Shikamaru with a satisfied smirk on his face. Did it work? Konan whispered, her eyes trained on Yahiko. My head hurts. Yahiko groaned, rubbing his forehead, looking around in shock. Why, Yahiko? Are you really here? Conan gasped out, stumbling forward, hand interlaced with Nagato's, dragging him forward as well. Conan? Nagato? Yahiko gasped out, rushing to meet the other two. The three met in a hug and tears streamed down their cheeks as the three AIM ninjas reunited with each other. Naruto swallowed hard as he looked at the Edo Tensei forms of his Two-san and Ka-san. Two-san? Ka-san? Naruto whispered out, walking towards the Yondaime Hokage and his wife. And Naruto? Kushina gasped out, covering her mouth as she looked at Minato and back to the teenager in front of her. Hi. Naruto blinked rapidly to stop tears from falling. Oh, my baby boy. Kushina rushed forward and wrapped her arms around her son tightly, burying her face in his spiky blonde hair while Naruto clung to his mother with all his being, the two slumping down to the floor. He glanced up from her shoulder to see Minato kneeling down in front of him, his eyes alight with emotions. Naruto, I'm so sorry. Minato whispered, running his fingers through Naruto's bangs. Don't be Two-san. Kurama is the best, and it would be so weird if he was never sealed inside of me, so thank you. Naruto grinned at his father, who gave a watery smile before he joined the hug. Shikamaru smiled at the family reunion before he turned his gaze to the remaining people in the room. Does the back of his cloak say the Yondaime Hokage? Tobirama asked, eyeing the writing on the back of Minato's cloak. A fourth Hokage, excellent. Hashirama laughed joyfully, his arms around Mito Uzumaki, his wife, as the two lovers reunited. Actually, we have a Godaime Hokage now. Shikamaru spoke up, drawing the Nidaime and Shodai's attentions. Really? Hashirama asked, excited. Tsunade Senju. Shikamaru reported and bit back a laugh at the deflating look Hashirama got and the laughter Mito let escape from her lips. How is the village still standing? He muttered, and Shikamaru smothered a snort, knowing full well what the Shodai was referring to. Who are you two? Tobirama asked, eyeing Itachi and Shikamaru. Itachi Uchiha. Itachi said plainly, not caring at the glare he got from the Nidaime. Shikamaru Nara, and I am sure you all have questions as to why you have been brought back to life. Shikamaru bowed in respect to the past Hokages. Shikamaru is right, we have no time to waste. Naruto spoke up as he extracted himself from the smothering hug Kushina and Minato had him in. I am Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, and we have a war to win. Naruto said firmly.